Hey everybody, my name is Matt. I'm the host of Full Belly Podcast. This is season 2, episode 11. We are talking about it. We're talking about step 11. As you know, we structured the seasons so that we have 12 episodes, and we're almost to the end of season 2, which is bittersweet. You know,
it is, man.
Actually, it's hard to think that we've done 23 episodes.
Yeah, we're about done.
We're about there. We're right about there. But I'm really excited to talk with everybody today. As you all know, Juan is our co-host of the show.
What up?
Juan Duarte is here. He is our president of the nonprofit and director of program development for the treatment center. Hello, Juan.
Hello, my friend.
It's very good to see you.
You too, brother. I seen you earlier, but it's good to see you again.
I know. Every time. It's so weird to say it's good to see you. I've been with you for 12 hours.
Right. It's been a while.
But it's still good to see you.
Yeah, always.
Wouldn't rather see anybody else sitting to the left.
Never. No, you're my best friend.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you. That means a lot.
It's true.
Am I really your best friend?
You are. Yes.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. We just had a moment.
We did.
That was deep.
I know.
That was deep.
Yeah. City. Slap.
That's our handshake, guys.
Just two. Two.
Two friends.
Why are you shaking your head, Pete? It was good.
Pete has something to say. We're going to introduce Pete.
Pete always has something to say.
We have some really good guests. I'd like to introduce Pete. Pete, to our right, Pete Windmills. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for inviting me.
I can't wait to talk about some of the things that we have in common, and then some of the things that I absolutely just don't understand that you really, 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 really love.
All right.
I'm excited to talk about these things. And then obviously we'll get into some serious stuff too. But thank you for coming here. I know it's like Thursday night at almost 9:00. Probably don't want to be
That's
here.
it's like I said a couple weeks ago when Juan came out, or whenever what meeting were we at? The three of us were at a meeting.
That was Juan's
recently.
lead. That was
the Raising the Bottom anniversary. Like, I don't see either one of y'all enough. Like, we always just yuck it up the whole fucking time that we're together. I don't see either one of you guys enough.
I know. I wish I could see you every day.
Agreed.
That would be nice.
I'd be all right with that.
I would actually.
I'd come over to your place every day and come and hang out over by the golf
on a golf course. Yeah, on a golf course.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, man. Mm-hmm. I was just talking about golf today. Huh?
You were, yeah.
I literally told him, I was like, I want to just go somewhere for a week and golf. Yeah, sounds fantastic.
If you need recommendations, let me know. I'll tell you the places that I want to go that I don't have the ability to go to.
We should just figure that out.
Cullen Park for golf. On the east side.
Collins Park?
Collins Park.
Did you say Colin Park?
He did.
I don't know.
He did say Colin Park.
That's I don't know if that's the right place to golf.
I don't know if that's about it.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I don't know about Colin Park.
I don't know. Seemed appropriate.
But you can get a hole in one there.
Yeah, go to Colin.
Come on.
Yeah, where's a rim shot sound effect? We just had that a couple minutes. There we go.
We have another great guest today that I'm excited to talk with and let everybody listen to and watch. Jason, I've known you for a long time. I feel like I've known you longer than anybody else in this room.
Probably.
For sure.
Probably longer than everybody in this room put together. So that's how long I've known you. I've known you for what? Like since, 2008 maybe?
Mm-hmm.
When I started, and that was back at the Compass days.
Yep.
Is that when you started working there? Before Zeph Center became Zeph Center?
11.
Was it 11? Okay.
But I think I knew you before that.
Yeah. We've known each other for a long time. A lot of mutual acquaintances.
Yes.
And I've known Jason since 98.
Oh, really?
99?
Oh,
maybe before that? No.
You got me beat then.
That would have been like 96, 97. Yeah. We grew up in the same neighborhood. Rode the bus together and.
Really?
Yeah. Went to high school together. Yeah.
Damn, I didn't know this. I did not know this.
Yeah,
I'm learning a lot about.
Yeah, man. There's some threads there, man. For sure.
I thought our relationship was deep. Your guys is much deeper. You guys is like double the deepness.
There's a thing in there that's like that we got to talk about, that I have to talk about, that needs to be like just the path to me being here and his path, and then another individual that like influenced our paths. You know, that is it's. I don't know. It naturally, it's just a natural thing. I feel like between me and you, you know what I mean? Somebody that super impacted both of our lives and got us here. I feel like both of us had a huge part in us being here.
I can't wait to hear about it. I'm actually very, very anxious to hear about that. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. That's what we're going to try to talk about a little bit today. You guys comfortable talking about that? You ever heard that before?
somewhere.
Time or two.
Somewhere along the way.
Sounds really familiar. I'm trying to figure out where, but I'm hoping that we can integrate it into. I mean, at the end of the day, we like to have fun on this podcast, but we have to carry an important message. Of course, there's going to be some people watching this, and hopefully, we inspire one of them. Yeah. Hopefully, we inspire one person or teach something to one person. Before we get into, having direct conversations, first, I would like to ask, how weird are you guys comfortable getting in here? Like on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being the cutoff where it's like I might not have a job tomorrow.
It's only weird if you make it weird.
Oh, get real, bro. I got so weird in here before we started, and you guys were making fun of me and acting like I was too weird.
We didn't walk out though.
No, you didn't. You didn't.
I was gonna say that's not an indication of whether I felt uncomfortable or not. That's just me ripping on you, as is my tendency to do.
Just silently rips by walking out.
Yeah. I'm done here.
We stuck around for your little rap.
Yeah, that was good too. You want to do that again?
I was spitting, dude.
You want to spit?
Dude, the audience, they all
don't make more work for him over there.
Look, Josh, turn it up, bro. Put it up. Listen, full belly, me and Big Map Belly coming through. Take me to the telly. What? You not feeling me? You jelly? Swear to God, I put it on pancakes like peanut butter and Schmelly socks. Take me to the docks while I kick these rocks. Smoke rocks, not no more. Take it to the top floor when you see me in Christian Dior. Ooh, flows off the dome. Here I come. Never run. Slap my hand, boy. Slap me. Cut the beat, bro. I'm done.
Went into a hard giggle, dude.
I'm done.
Catch him as a headliner on State Street next week.
Look, bro, look how fucking
State Street. Is that what you said?
Clearly done. Clearly, I'm waiting on a deal.
You got to start a YouTube channel, dude. Yeah, that would be really good. That's good every time, and I love how every time it just ends with you giggling. Like when you can't think of the next rhyme, you just start to giggle so hard.
No, bro. I could have thought of another one. It
was time.
Yeah, dude. It was
time. You got to go out on a good note. Yeah. It's like retirement,
Yeah, it would have went really to the left.
So, all right. So I'm good. I'm glad to know that. Mm-hmm. So the name of the podcast, Full Belly Podcast, we like to talk about what makes us full in our minds, in our hearts, and in our actual bellies.
Yes, sir.
So I'd like to do that a little bit. Pete, what do you like to eat, dude?
I was going to say,
tell me about your food.
The latter of those options.
Oh my God! If you had to pick one food that you were going to eat before you died, or you can tell us both. If you had to eat something every single day, every single meal, or if you were stuck on an island and this is the only thing that you could eat for the rest of your life, something local. Give a shout out to some place that just murders it, or if it's something that like maybe isn't local. Give us all the info.
I was going to say info. Here in Toledo, there are I've always said it's remarkable how we live in a city that's so densely populated with restaurants. And I can probably count on one hand the number of great restaurants there are in the city. Mm-hmm. I think the guys at Benchmark are really getting it right these days. I mean, Benchmark is a phenomenal place, and we've also eaten once already at their new seafood places right across the way from it. Fantastic.
What is that called? Claude's or something like that?
Yeah, Claude's. Dining room is just, the interior is spectacular. The service is amazing. And the food was perfect. Perfect. And that for me is difficult to say about anywhere.
Yeah, I can see you being real.
Well,
tough grader on cuisine.
Well, and the only real reason is because, like, if I'm going to go and pay for food, like, I want it to be as good or better as I could do at my place. You know what I mean?
Oh, you like to cook?
Oh, yeah.
You're a cook.
I was a chef for 13 years before I got into my current line of work.
He whips it up.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why I'm so obsessed with food. I'm absolutely obsessed with food.
So one place, one last meal, one island, secluded. This is what you get. Last meal. Okay, this is going to be really specific, but I don't care. It's okay.
It's not around Toledo. So there's a place outside of Scottsdale, Arizona. It's an Italian restaurant inside of a strip mall.
I'm glad you didn't say strip club.
It's that would not be a great place to get a Michelin-starred meal or anything. I don't know. I mean, I guess you don't, dude, they've got Michelin stars out for street vendors at this point. But anyway, so it's inside a strip mall. it very clearly used to be like something like a sandwich shop or like a pizza place or something. And this guy who had made a career as, I think he was like a cello player in an orchestra or something like that. Anyway, he was with an orchestra, went to Sicily because they were touring over there. And once the orchestra left, he just decided he was going to stay for like 3 years, I think, and just learned from everybody's grandmother, and then came back and just opened this little like 25 seat restaurant. And that was the best meal that I've ever had in my life.
It's funny. Oh gosh, man. I love that kind of stuff.
Me too.
I love that kind of stuff.
I'm nuts about it. Like those are the places that I just lose my mind over, or places that are just, it doesn't have to be ridiculously fancy or complex. They're just like, they've got their cuisine and they do it ridiculously well. And that can go for, Italian or just a sandwich shop or Thai food, anything. And
focus on it, do it well, specialize, knock it out of the park.
Yep.
There's a spot. It sounds like exactly what you're talking about, in the sense that it's like, it seems like it's in a strip mall. It's like long and deep, and it's like just a mom and pop shop, and it's either in Chicago or New York. I don't remember what it is, but same concept, same exact concept.
Best Italian beef I ever had in Chicago was just
one of
this
these
piece of shit restaurant that was on the side of the road over by the airport. And it was just a rundown fucking building that's been there for like 30 years, and I would do terrible things for those sandwiches. Like, I
would do some really bad things to get a sandwich right now.
Dude, they're so good. Speaking of shout out to the original sub shop here in Toledo.
Oh, absolutely.
Those dudes
on Broadway?
Those dudes do it right. And the guy that bakes their bread, the guy that runs, so their bread comes from this guy who runs a business called All Crumb. And so he does a bunch of places.
Is that over in Adams?
He doesn't have a storefront, not that I know of, at least.
He bakes out of his house.
He has a commercial space that he bakes out of, just not a storefront. Anyway, he shows up. He bakes for like the original sub shop. He does some stuff for Maddie and Bella. And he shows up, he shows up at the farmer's market every weekend, like down there on Erie. And there is a fucking line a block long for his stand before he even shows up. And he sells out like that.
Bread.
Yeah. And it's ridiculous. It's so good.
That's so cool.
Fucking bread.
You got this everything bagel bread, dude. Breakfast sandwiches on this everything bagel. I told you, man. Hungry. You want to get down to a rabbit hole? You start talking food with me. We'll be here forever.
Well, that just made me hungry now, and I might have to go to, where do you say, Scottsdale?
Yeah,
Scottsdale.
It's outside of Scottsdale.
Mom and pop Italian spot straight out of Sicily. What'd you eat there? What was it?
I just did a bolognese there. My dad got ossobuco, and it was.
What's ossobuco?
Yeah,
braised shin, like
shin.
Yeah, like a
shin of what?
I'm trying to think, beef in this case, but like really slow braised for a very long time. So you basically get some pasta, and it's got kind of some of the braising sauce on there, and it's just this hunk of meat that just shreds apart. Oh. It was. Yeah, that place is insane.
Sounds so good. And nothing like that in Toledo.
That meal alone started the love affair that I have with Italian food.
Really?
Nobody's braising shins in Toledo.
No. Well, Basil used to. Basil used to have, right next to Benchmark, that place, Basil.
Yeah.
They used to have.
Isn't that pizza?
They have pizzas, but it's a bunch of stuff. I hardly ever get the pizzas there, but they used to have one of those with risotto, and it was really good, and they got rid of it, and I was pissed.
Have you been to Osteria?
Yeah.
Downtown?
One of the only Italian places in Toledo I'll eat.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because they do it right. They do scratch-made pasta in-house. Nobody else does that around here, really.
Yep, they do. They make their pastas in the basement. A lot of the cheeses are made in the basement.
Yep.
And
they do it the correct way. I don't get there enough. My dad actually, he retired about a month and a half ago. We had his retirement party at Osteria upstairs.
It's a good spot up there. Yeah. We might end up having our holiday party up there this year. Yeah, I love that place though. I could eat there every single day.
Yeah,
it's crazy. I suggested that too.
Did you?
Yep.
I don't believe that.
Ask.
To who?
To whoever's planning it.
And she didn't listen?
Well, why did it come about? Was it recommended?
Why are you speaking cryptic codes to me?
Did she recommend that might be a good option?
He's trying.
So you thought of it?
He's trying to lead you down the garden
path. Last night I just made a call. I was like, why don't we just do this? And I made a call.
I swear to God, that's literally what I thought of. I thought of the same thing.
Yeah.
And she was like, I just don't want to do that. I don't, like I want to figure it out on my own. I don't want to, ask for help there because that's like a relationship they already have. And I was like, dude, like it makes sense. Like it's really nice and really good food. It makes sense.
Yeah.
And I was like, if it doesn't work out, like you should just put that on the table.
So you want to hear something funny?
I do.
We called and somebody already booked the entire restaurant for that night.
Are you kidding me?
225 people.
What?
They're like, sorry.
No way.
Not. Yeah, they booked the whole upstairs and downstairs.
So it's off the table.
Lock the doors, private party, entire restaurant.
Wow.
First 3 or 4 drinks are paid for by the host.
What?
And then everything else after that is for them.
Dude,
all you can eat food, just like
that was like my Hail Mary too.
In that restaurant, can't turn that shit down. Any restaurant,
no, they're not turning it down.
That's a fucking guaranteed killing in one night.
Right,
225 people.
What?
That's a lot of guests.
225 heads, the majority of which is paid up front. Yeah.
Yep.
That's some good fucking takings.
So we're screwed there.
Yeah. So we might change the night. We might change the night to the night before. But anyways,
not a way.
All right, beautiful. Jason, your heart. How do you fill it up, dude? You've been in this for a long time. We'll get into the stuff that you do and your field of work, and also just this world of recovery that we are in outside of work. How do you stay vulnerable, man? Because I would venture to guess that you've seen a lot of shit in your day, whether personal life or career, and sometimes you got to do what's best for you. But how do you continue to say, you know what? Obviously, our hearts and how we think and care and love for people is very important. I got to work on that.
Mm-hmm.
How do I fill my heart? Now, I would have to say, it's watching my son. He has autism spectrum disorder, so he was nonverbal until a little bit after 2 years old. Mm-hmm. So just watching him grow as a boy and learn things that most kids his age already know.
Yeah.
But seeing that like each little thing it's awesome, dude.
I've got goosebumps under my sweater right now, just listening to you. I can feel it. I can feel the love. Literally, I can feel how much you love that. How old is he?
5.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then, so it's kind of thing like Juan emailed me that list, and one of the questions on there was like basically this.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought about first. Thing like, it's my son, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that was what I was thinking about though was like my lifestyle before recovery. I'm surprised I never had a kid, you know.
That you know of.
That I know of. It took me 35 years to have a kid. 34. And then the kid I have has special needs. Like, but why not? Why not me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like thinking like how like my outlook on being a dad has changed with being sober. And just the other day, like for some random reason, I was just like, hey, what's 1 + 1? Like I had no idea if he's going to be able to answer this question. And he was like, 2. I'm like, for real, dude?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And so I just kept it going, dude. And he like, I stopped at like 7.
Yeah.
But he knew it. I was like, what's 4 + 3? 6. I'm like, 6. What's 4? And he said it's equals 7. I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, oh, dude, how'd that feel?
Yeah, I was like floored.
Oh man.
Because I had no idea like he was going to be able to answer. Like he loves number stuff,
Mm-hmm.
so I kind of thought maybe let's just see, let's go with it.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew it. I mean, it didn't get taught to him.
Right.
You know what I mean? We're not there yet, but he knew it.
That's incredible, man.
Yeah.
Is that your only child?
Yeah. One and done. We're one and done.
Dope.
Yeah.
That's it, huh?
Yeah.
Never again?
Never again.
Yeah.
I'm too old, man.
I feel it. It's tough, man. It's tough. But I would never say never. You just never know.
I don't know.
She can't. She can't anymore.
Okay. So it's never.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. Pete, do you have any kids? No?
I got a house hippo. I got a big old pit bull. Oh, that's about the gist of it.
House hippo.
You know the house hippo. You met the house hippo.
I do know the house hippo.
Actually, you know the house hippo when he was much smaller than he is now. Way
smaller.
That boy's like 110 pounds, bro.
A puppy.
Yeah,
he's a puppy.
Yeah, that's about the time.
The Hope Spot.
Yeah, they would have been up at the Hope Spot. Yeah, what a venture that was, huh?
Yeah. Jeez.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's a big old chonky boy now.
That's amazing.
Chonky boy.
Juan, I know how much you love your boy, your baby boy.
Yeah, man. You already know, dude.
Can you relate to what Jason was saying in terms of just like a special moment in like what's just I know you have a ton of them because you do that, and G's older.
Yeah.
What's your son's name?
Cody.
Older than Cody, so you've had more moments with him.
How old's G at this point?
13, man.
Holy shit.
13. Man. Yeah, going on fucking 45.
So tell us about that, because we can talk about that. I feel like that goes into, that we can tie that into the step 11 if we want to, but also
100%.
Your mind.
Okay.
How you keep this sharp, how you grow this with your son.
Oh man, I perfect example. Recently, like a really cool moment. So G is really into MMA and combat sports and like all those things, and he recently started training and going to this new gym in town called Adamas, and these are some pretty legitimate people that are they're training to fight, and this is their lifestyle, and he's usually the youngest person there. And they're training, this isn't kiddie, training.
Yeah.
It's, hey, we're learning how to fight.
Yeah.
And a really cool moment though was, so G has a pretty bad temper or gets really emotional when he's embarrassed. He gets really angry. He doesn't like to feel like he's losing. And when those things happen, it's like catastrophe. He'll get really emotional and he'll panic after he's emotional. He doesn't want people to see him cry. And then once he starts crying in front of somebody, he gets really mad. Mm-hmm. And then it just blows up. Spirals, dude. And so we had a moment, it was his first time sparring, and he was sparring with somebody. And the coaches were pushing him, sparring with this kid. He's 26 years old that he was sparring with boxing. And they were like, hit him, G, hit him. And they were like, really hit him. He's never really hit somebody. And so he was having to hit this guy, and he was getting hit back. And he got done with that round, and he started crying. And he was trying to hold it back, and it was just coming out, and he was holding it back. So he started hyperventilating, and he's like, and then he started crying. And then the coach was like, what's going on, G? He was like, I don't like to hit people. And he was like, well, you're in the wrong place, buddy. And, he's like, you're in the wrong place, dude. And so I worked with him through that, but G had a little panic attack. We went outside and like getting his attention to follow direction, for me as his father, like it's really like, that's the best thing in the world, right? Being a dad and sitting with your son and saying, do this as your father. I know what to do here. And just told him to take some deep breaths. And he did. He finally conceded and followed suit and got through the panic attack and outside away from everybody, but he was still embarrassed, man. He was embarrassed, and we had a whole nother 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock. That was the end of 6 to 7. Then we were going to come into the groundwork. And I was like, dude, we can't leave. You can't leave here. We can't just leave halfway through the practice, even though we can. You got to go face this, and you got to keep going. Like we have to go back in there. This is important. I know that you want to leave, but I can't, as your father, allow this to happen right now. And I was like, you got it. You ready? And so we ended up going back inside, and they were already rolling on the ground. And they were, the whole point of this, the next part was they were doing groundwork, so tapping each other out and submitting each other and figuring that out. G has very little experience. And there's 2 rounds, or 3 rounds. So each person, if G will go for a round, and then another person will jump in right after that, and the person will essentially, go for 2 rounds with 2 different people. And so G hops in, and it was his turn, and he takes this grown man down. He gets him, he double legs him, puts him on the ground, but dude sinks a choke on him. And G's on the ground, and you can see his face like about to pop off. Dude was squeezing.
Yeah.
The coach was like, "Don't take it easy on him." The coach was like, "Keep like we're here for a reason." Mm-hmm. And so G's clearly not getting out of it. And the dude sinks it in and really goes for it. And G wouldn't tap. He wouldn't tap, you know, and coach was like, if you want to, if you're done, you have to tap. And G wouldn't. And then the coach was like, you have to tap if you're done. Finally, G conceded and he was like, tapped. And then afterwards, he smacks the mat, dude, and he's pissed, right? He's mad. And the coach was like, keep going. And he started crying right away in that moment. But the coach was like, you got to keep going. It's time. No, don't go. Don't give him any rest. Yeah. And I was like, G, you got to keep going. In the moment where he typically would have broke down, and that would have been like another time where I'm like, G, you got to breathe through it. Instead of all that shit, you know, the next dude came and he had to survive. You know, he had to keep going. He stopped crying because dude was coming to get him. Yeah. Dude was coming to get him. So G like sucked it up and kept going and rolled through the next 2 rounds. And that moment when I was like coaching and watching, trying to let the coaches coach and stay away from it, but to encourage him and empower him where needed, you know, and then afterwards was like this moment where like, you know, I cried, you know, I was like, this is my 13-year-old boy, you know, like stepping into lessons for the rest of his life, you know, and just feeling emotional that my 13-year-old boy is in there and he doesn't understand it because he wants to win. You know, he wants to win and the odds are against him. He's rolling with 27, 30, 35 and younger and people that are doing this or, you know, and so he's discouraged. And for me, I can look at it and say, this is a 13-year-old boy. Like you're 13, G, you know, like, you kidding me? Like that takes a lot of courage. And like, it inspired me, man. You know, when we left there and got in the car, like I couldn't help but look at him and cry and tell him how proud I am of him, even though he was disappointed, and to look at him and be like, I'm a small man compared to you. I'm a small person compared to you. You know, who you are tonight and how you showed up in life today. There's nothing that I've done recently that can compare to the person that you are in this moment. You know, and I couldn't help but hug him and cry and feel like this is my son. You know what I mean?
Because it's the life lesson that's way more important.
Remove
the fact entirely that we're talking about like fight training and like remove all of that. It's just the overarching life lesson of there are going to be times where you have to make the decision of onwards and upwards. Let's get going. You know what I mean? Get cracking.
Yeah. And that's been like for me, like me and G, you know, it's just been me and G for a while, you know. And there was a period of time when I first got sober. First of all, like I felt an immense amount of guilt. Like this has kept my mind sharp too in this concept, but where I felt immense amount of guilt for what he went through, and where I would tend to his emotional state, like a lot, you know, where I would process emotionally with him. And then there came a point in time where I was like, look, we understand what it means. We know where your feelings are coming from, how you respond. Now it's time for me to say, we're not going to be emotional right now.
Yeah.
And it's time for you to step up, step in, press in, you know.
Because effectively when you first got sober, you weren't in all that much different of a ballpark.
Of course. Yeah. I was an adolescent.
Yeah.
Right. I was emotionally stunted and adolescent. And, you know, but through the recovery and everything, like I learned what I need to do to be well for the most part. And it's been really cool, man. But for him, you know, like you're saying, you know, those lessons and I'm thankful that me and G haven't had an easy route. You know, it truly hasn't been easy. You know, being a single parent full time it's not easy for anybody. It's not easy for anybody. But the fact that, you know, and it's not fair for G a lot of times, you know, it's not a fair way to grow up to say, you know, hey dude, I'm sorry, you don't got a mom in your life. You don't have, you had to witness all these things. I'm going to work a lot and I have to take care of my health and my recovery or else I'm not going to be here for you in general. And so he had to grow up early, you know, but I look at it now and like, yo, later on down the road, the hope is that, you know, those times will translate, you know.
You bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody who's got rock solid interior foundation coming into his adult years.
Yeah,
because he's seen the fucked up shit, but he's also had that example for almost just as long.
Yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely.
Good shit.
I love hearing that, dude. I absolutely love, I can just see you guys having that moment. I know you guys. I can actually see it. Did like for a second there when he was getting choked? Like, was there any part of you that was like, I need to go get this dude off my son, or were you just like, it is what it is. He's got to learn. He's got to go through it.
No, me and you have had a moment where I got like that, you know.
Oh yeah.
You know, where I got like that, and that I feel like No, because that's what that was for. It was for that, and my son went into that, and that's what that was for.
Yeah.
So no, it's like the coaches have this. I don't know what I'm doing more than they do. Mm-hmm. And I also believe in what's going to happen no matter what here. Right. If they started punching him in the face for no reason, right, 27-year-old just drilling my son, I would have.
Then you jump in, yeah.
Yeah, I would have took a weight to somebody's face,
I was watching I was watching some reels, and there was it was a question basically about the same thing that you just said, but in another way about the guy asked, you know who Andrew Tate is?
Yeah.
So he asked Andrew Tate, so where do you find your strength from? Because the guy, it's like the guy gets up at 3:00 in the morning and goes to sleep at, midnight, and he just does things all day. He does so much stuff. He said, like, where do you find your strength? Where do you find your motivation? Like, where does it come from? And then somebody asked it was like a compilation of reels of similar questions being asked to Elon Musk and Andrew Tate, both like very alpha type A people that have accomplished a lot of things in their life. And, the answer was something to the extent of like, regardless of what it is, like they were like, I don't really know how to answer that. Like, I don't find it. It's just there. It's just there. Like, you can't good day, bad day. I'm happy or I'm sad. Like I'm not going to do it today. I don't want to step up to the plate today. The way that they were explaining it, which I want to get your guys' perspective on, was no matter what, get up and do it, go get it, or die trying. Like, that was like their mentality with it. And not everybody has that mentality. Some people are like, I need a mental health day. Like I'm not feeling it today. I can't go up and get it. I can't just wake up and just like go get it the way that somebody else might do it. But how do you approach that? Like with your life, your own personal life, with your kids, with your recovery, whatever it is, like, what do you guys feel about that? Is it no matter what, get up and grind? Like there are no excuses?
Yes.
Can you explain?
Yeah. I've actually talked about this a lot with some of my coworkers, and the current line of work that I'm in, specifically the job description I've been in for about the last 3 years, and we talked briefly about this whenever the last time I saw you was. It's for sure been the most challenging year of my sobriety, like 100%. I say the details don't matter, but the easy way to explain what I do is I get paid a salary to be shouted at all day. And that to me has been really, really draining. I was fine with it for a while. Over the last year. It's just really just kind of eroded a little bit. I'm very comfortable in those waters. I'm very good at those kind of circumstances.
Sure. I can see you being really good at that.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good at de-escalating situations normally, and I'm also good at not holding on to it after the fact for the most part. But I mean, it doesn't matter how good you are at it. When you've been doing something like that for almost 3 years, and it's just kind of constant, it starts to wear on you. But so you're talking about this idea of just like days where you just wake up and just can't do it or whatever. I mean, I'll say this, in the last 3 years, in the last year, I've had more days where I felt that way than I did in over a decade of working in the restaurant industry. Like it's been a lot. But my answer to that question of like, is it just kind of inherently there? But the answer is yes. I mean, and I owe that to the industry that I was in for as long as I was, because
the restaurant industry.
Yeah, absolutely. I was in back of house for, 12, 13 years. And so you show up, suit up, and work your ass off every day.
Yeah.
The end.
Yeah.
Like there's none of that. And don't get me wrong, like
with none of the glory either.
I'm not suggesting that is the way that everyone should operate.
Sure.
The mental health side of things is very, very real. And I would be the first person to admit that internally I've been incredibly fortunate in that regard, where I haven't had, I haven't felt a ton of overwhelming anxiety or crippling depression or anything like that. I know several people where it's very, very, very real.
Sure. Does anybody here experience that? And I know you don't.
I can't say that I have. No.
Do you experience that anxiety or depression? No, me neither.
Not to.
I know a handful of people very close to me.
Very same close. Here. Very close that have some serious issues in that department. And it's, basically what I'm trying to get at is I will not say a thing that tries to challenge the validity of that.
Right.
But that's something that I really kind of haven't experienced. So, again, I've come from the service industry for my entire working career, pretty much. And then up until late 2017, when I made the change over to the corporate world, and I've been there ever since. And that kind of mentality just kind of still exists. Like, show up, clock in, bust ass, clock out.
Yeah.
I can be a little bit more lax, because one of the benefits of working for a very large company is they kind of do give a shit about your well-being.
Right.
Restaurants, they don't give a fuck. Like, show up. Oh, I'm not feeling. Oh, I'm like in crippling back pain. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, shut the fuck up and keep going.
Serve these meals. Get them out.
Yeah, keep going. And you said for no glory, there was for me.
How so? Because when I see that, I'm thinking back of the house. You said cooking the food, and then it goes out.
The glory's in the kitchen.
The glory is with the server. Like, oh, thank you so much. It was a delicious meal. I had such a great time. They don't. Or is it with the staff?
I think about re-entering that industry all the time. All the time. Not necessarily in the same capacity, like for the same kind of establishments or whatever. It would be kind of a different
like a
approach.
Benchmark where you get to come out
100%.
Executive chef, meet the people.
No. Not in terms of the leadership role, in terms of the establishment, but the overall point.
I think it's changing. The industry's changing in the right places.
But really what I'm getting at is like, I think about that is because that is what I love to do more than anything else.
Yeah.
And I was good at it.
You should start a restaurant.
We've look. If you get me going down this, we will not stop talking about it for an hour.
If you were to start a restaurant, what would you name it?
It depends. It depends on the direction that I was actually going with it.
What kind of restaurant would it be, and what would it be named?
So,
just one of them.
Just one.
Yeah, because I'm sure you have a bunch of them.
So. The only one that I've had keep coming to mind, and I'm going to pull up a photo now so you know what I'm talking about. So the only one that has continued to come to mind for years and years, in classic Italian pasta making, there's a very long, flat rolling pin called a mattarello. So that's been the only name that continues.
That's a dope name.
Looks like this. And basically it can be like 4 feet long almost. And you start with a hunk of dough and you end up with this massive circular sheet. And it's a technique that I have actually yet to really screw around with.
So it's a mattarello and it's Italian.
Yep.
Juan, how do you feel about giving us a nice commercial about a mattarello, and then we'll go into a commercial of ourselves?
Not ready for this at all.
I think that you should do a commercial.
We said
for Pete's new restaurant.
I wasn't even freaking watching.
Nailed it.
Jason took a deep breath too.
You're giving me anxiety.
Scene. Hey guys, how you doing? Juan Duarte here. We're going to talk to you about Mattarellas, a fine establishment on the east side, keeping it alive all day long. 0505. Mattarellas is a brand new establishment. It's in the basement of Nantucket's on the dock. You find good food here, real good food. Mattarellas brought and shipped a rolling pin that's called a Mattarella. It's really a rolling pin, but it's not because it's a Mattarella. Our good friend Pete got this from a lady named Giselle on his trip to Tucson, Arizona, that was shipped from her cousin, Diana. And Diana gave this to Pete to use in his Uncle Gus's restaurant called Mattarellas. They serve guancialas. That's their specialty dish. You're going to find this. It's fine braised cheek from a pig. And when you go in the basement, you're going to want to look for Snappin' Eddie. Snappin' Eddie is a good fella. He's a good fella. Snappin' Eddie came from New York, and he's a fine young gentleman. And when you find Snappin' Eddie, you ask him about the 05 Keep It Alive rap and do it now. All right? If you want to come here and you want to get it now, you're going to call this number, 419-731-27279. Right today. please do it. And if you want to find us in a good menu, because it's only 25 seats, you got to schedule out. You're going to find us on the Facebook and intraweb. You're going to look for us on Fine Eddie's establishment and the Facebook place. And then you're going to go to the website if you need anything, www.I'mGonnaEatSomeFoodToday.com. Thank you, guys.
Matt here.
Hey, guys, I'm Juan.
And this episode is actually sponsored by the Friday Night Fire. We've got a quick clip for you guys to watch, so check it out, because it's really cool, bro.
All right, you guys see that? How can you not want to be there? It's every Friday night. Be there or be square, bro.
Have you guys been paying attention to any of the Twitter stuff that's happening?
A little bit.
Elon Musk.
Two shits and a pop.
Dawson loves that shit.
Nothing at all? Nobody knows?
Yeah,
Val's been paying more attention than I have.
Wasn't it supposed to end a week ago or something? Like Twitter was dead. Is that what you're talking about?
Stock is crashing and all kinds of shit.
He fired everybody.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people left. So Elon Musk bought Twitter. I think everybody knows that, right?
Okay.
And the funny part is a lot of, I mean, Elon Musk, I think I sort of mentioned it earlier. He's a very type A, aggressive, assertive, interesting leadership style type of person. You know?
Yeah.
That's about the softest way you could have.
That is, I'm going to leave it that way. You know, there's some things that I sort of like about him, but some things that I certainly think that he can polish up on. But so takes over Twitter, and 75% of the staff are gone. 75% of the staff in Twitter are either resigned or he's terminated. He sent out a company-wide memo that basically said, "Get ready to work your ass off or get out of here." That's what he said. Literally said, "Get ready to like work it out hard or just leave now." And 75% of the company's gone, and everything is working just fine. Everything's working just fine. Twitter has more followers. Twitter has more subscribers, or whatever you would call it, more people using Twitter that have just started using Twitter because of all of the conversation and topic.
Yep.
Than it's ever had. The growth week by week of users on Twitter has gone up more over the last couple of weeks than it has in any other 2-week span.
Yesterday I told
and he's probably making way more money because he's not paying.
Oh, of course.
He's only paying 25% of the people that he was.
75% of his payroll. I mean, there's like 2,000 employees or something in this company. And everything. I mean, it's software. It's set up. It just runs.
I'm going to put that back on my phone. I told Dawson yesterday, I was like, I'm just kind of over these other things. Like, Twitter seems kind of interesting to pass some time right now.
So he bought it for $44 million.
Yeah.
He was going to try to cancel the sale, but to cancel the sale would have cost him $10 million in just, legal stuff.
Fucking chump change.
You said 10 mil or bill?
10 million to cancel. He bought it for $44 million. And
44 million or billion? I thought he bought it for billions of dollars.
I'm going to look it up.
There we go.
Let me look. How much did...
I mean, he's worth like $200 billion. Right, he's ahead of...
I think he's like $240 billion is his net worth.
He's number one now, right?
Pretty sure, yeah. Oh my God, it was $44 billion.
Yeah.
One just blew Matt's mind.
Yeah.
That's insane to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, think about how much Facebook's worth. What's their evaluation? What it was fucking hundreds of billions,
Holy shit, I can't believe we bought that for $44 billion.
Yeah. And not in
really, you can't believe
their evaluation has.
I can't believe a social media platform $44 billion.
But I mean, you got to look at Twitter. Twitter's used mostly by rich people.
It is,
as opposed to Facebook being more like a white blue.
And not only that,
so that's why I'm not on it.
Well, the generated ads and all the things that they do, but their stock is tanked like big time. You know, that's what happens with Elon. You know, a lot of times he'll stress out the market.
If you look at SpaceX, if you look at
all of his
Tesla,
his trend is bow, 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 bow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He goes
so
crazy.
they said, what did they say? Oh, he's selling blue checks now. You know, you can become like a verified person.
Dude.
Like you can become
this is the only part of this that I've actually seen a little
selling
bit of the last
$8 for a blue check.
Blue check for $8 a month.
Yeah.
And people are buying it like crazy.
Delta.
Just buying it like crazy.
Did you hear the Delta one?
No.
Mm-mm. So he somebody bought had made up a fake Delta. This is what I heard. You know that they created a fake Delta.
Yeah, that's been the thing.
Is people started sending them money and like buying things like millions of dollars, and then people are like, "What the fuck?" And they want, and Delta's like, "Are you kidding me, bro?
Yeah.
Like we want our money back. Like we lost. Like it affected their stock. It affected everything. You know, we're talking
wow.
Yeah, because that was the huge thing. It's not even so much that he started selling it, is that people were fucking just making all this fake shit.
accounts were just buying the blue check to be
was so
credible.
Verified.
Yep.
Verified. The one that I saw was a verified
Twitter.
Jesus.
Yo, that's fire.
So he's trying to figure out how to do that now, but he also he also reactivated a lot of people's accounts too, that like
including Trump.
Andrew Tate was one of them that he brought back on. Handful of others, but he's putting it out for vote. That's the thing. Yeah. He's not just like coming out and just.
Should we bring Trump back?
He puts it out for a vote and says, should I reactivate Trump or not?
Yeah.
And
52% of people said yes, 48% said no, and he said, all right, let's roll.
That's exactly what it was.
I love that.
52-48.
It's great.
So, all right. Well, nice talking about that. Just figured we talk about some current affairs here on Full Belly Podcast.
Anybody ever watch the God tweets?
No. What's that?
Dude, I want to take note, though. Where's a pen at?
What's God tweets?
It's God. God has a Twitter page.
What? I need to write this down and check this out. That's
Hold
fire.
on a minute.
Dude.
It's called God tweets?
It's God. Just God. Look up God on Twitter.
It's just God.
Yeah.
What?
It's just God?
This is just a wasteland that I have no desire to navigate through.
And he will tweet. Well, I mean, it's obviously not God, but who's ever running the God tweet
It's debatable. It might be.
will tweet about like
Stop.
current things that are going on in the world.
Yeah, man. I mean, it got to have some kind of hand in it.
God.
Something.
Is this him?
Is
Well,
this
it's not
him?
verified.
It says
Is there a
God,
check?
not a parody. It says God, and then parentheses.
I think so.
Not a parody, actually God.
Yeah. Is there a check on it?
No, he's not.
No. Damn, dude. What's God tweeting? What God?
I
tweet
know. I
today,
want to know
bro?
what God's tweeting.
Yeah. You got it over there, bro?
He's just posting pictures of like this little kid. He just posted a picture of, and just wrote about this little child. Dude, Pete, what are you thinking?
That's him.
Is that him, God?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's him.
Not a parody. It says not a parody, actually God.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Inquire within email.
If Elon Musk kills Twitter, you will never hear from me again, and my son will communicate with you only on breakfast foods.
Yo.
It looks like he's boycotting it. He said, well, I'm out. This is my final tweet. From now on, you can find me at, he gives his website. It's been a great ride, and the ride
Set
continues.
up a website
Fuck
to
you.
continue on. Oh my God.
Fuck you.
Oh my God.
Fuck you, Elon Musk. You anti-union megalomaniacal. I mean, I don't even know how to say that word.
What is happening? I don't.
I love it.
So help me God, Mike Pence. No.
That's all he said is, so help me God, Mike Pence.
No, the picture's so help me God, and it's Mike Pence, and God's response or God's tweet is
he said no. Oh, no way.
This is the world we live in.
He said no, Mike Pence.
See, that's.
I see it there.
That statement right there. That's the look you're seeing on my face.
Yeah, for sure. This is wild. Now you can't make this is life. This is life.
Dude, so yeah, whenever anything happens in the world, dude, that's comedy royalty right there. God.
Oh my God, I can't.
Anywho,
And that's how I pray and meditate.
That's it. That's it. Yeah. That's your prayer and meditation.
Yeah. Credit God where it's due. That was fucking good.
Yeah, that's good though. I mean, honestly, thinking about it,
here we go.
Well, first of all, we are talking. We're on step 11. Mm-hmm. You know, saw it through prayer and meditation. You know what I mean? So this is we said that we wanted to talk about things. Uh-huh. So this is one of those things.
What's that?
What is prayer and meditation to you? What is God to you?
Okay, there we go. Now we're actually getting to not what we were just talking about for the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, well, let's get into that with you. Let's get into that. But lead up to, I want to talk about Pete. Tell me your life. Where are you from? How old are you? What do you do?
Jesus Christ!
What happened?
For full blown backstory?
Yeah, give me a 10-minute story of Pete, of what happened, what it was like, and what it's like.
Okay, so I'm on the side of the fence that because normally there's two sides, right? It's either I had the perfect life growing up and everything I wanted and blah blah blah, or it's I was growing up in absolute chaos. I'm on the former of those. Like I had the most stereotypical Catholic boy upbringing that you could ever imagine in your life. So you know, I wouldn't say that I didn't get in a shitload of trouble like as a kid or even through high school. Like was kind of wanting the things that I couldn't have. That was always the tendency, but it never really got me in any serious trouble. And then I went to Bowling Green for college. The abbreviated version is just like, all right, I'm not around anybody anymore and I can start to be whoever the hell I want to be. And I'm just going to fuck around for a little while. Mm-hmm. You know, and like many of us ended up in the opiate world. And
how old are you?
What's that?
How old are you?
32.
Gosh, you're young.
About to be 33 at the end of the month. Ended up in the opiate world slowly but surely, you know, ended up throwing everything out. Got sober once in 2014. I put like 6 months together, something like that. I went up to inpatient out in Rock Creek. Was in their sober living facility for a little while in Niles, Ohio, and then a handful of places over the next like 2 years out in Cleveland while I was back ripping and roaring, and got locked up on a prior charge and then ended up back here in Toledo, and here I've been ever since.
What'd you get locked up for?
Possession from an overdose. Yeah.
So
I was out on probation or whatever, and I don't remember if I like didn't show up to court or something. I see. This is the thing. The further away that I get from the sober date,
I forget those details,
dude. I can't. So like somebody, I gave a lead at New Hope like 2 months ago or something like that, and like 2 hours before we went up there, I'm like trying to just. Like not even very fine details.
Yeah.
Just remember the overall timeline of the story. I can't put shit together at this point. Absolutely nothing. I cannot sequence the events together at this point. I remember bits and pieces. And then like every now and then, and I don't know if anybody else here will identify with this, but like every now and then I'll have the only way I can describe it is like almost a born identity kind of moment where I will end up somewhere and all of a sudden some form of memory will come flashing. Like I was in Cleveland, right? I went out to Cleveland to go visit a friend of mine who had moved since the last time that I went to go see her. And I'm on my way to this place and I come up to a stoplight and it's right across from the Amtrak station that's up there. And then all of a sudden, seriously, like almost as if it was shot in one of those movies where he just like has that moment where it's like takes back to when he was like getting fucked up during his training or something. I'm like, I've been in that parking lot before. And then I had that whole recollection.
Yeah.
Like shit like that happens to me more frequently than but I can't piece any of the story together anymore. Anyway, I mean, but you guys know, big picture, do the details really matter? They do not.
A little bit.
Doesn't. But not really. Like the details don't matter as far as it goes to earning my seat. That's what I'm getting at.
I hear you.
So the details are a little bit irrelevant.
Did it start with pills? Did it start with pills?
Yeah.
Did it end with pills, or did you transition?
No, transition to. I think I was doing heroin exclusively for, I don't know, like 4 years total, something like that.
Did you snort it, smoke it,
snort it,
shoot it, snort it?
I think I will always say that's the one favor that I did for myself is I did not move to IV use. I was right there though, like right before I went to rehab, that I was there. If I would have, I've always said if I would have been out another 2 weeks, that would have been a different story.
Damn.
Yeah.
Thank God.
It was right there.
Thank God it happened when it happened. So what happened? What was like your rock bottom that was like, okay, I'm not doing this?
When I think a lot of the people that I know that have success stories that have been around for a long time, like it's kind of like the either side of the fence as far as the experience. It's either the burning bush moment or it's something that seems from the description kind of innocuous, like, and mine was the latter. So like I got out and while I was in jail, I had made arrangements to move into the open door. And I got out and immediately started using again, like instantly. So I got out, if I remember right, I got out of jail on a Friday and I was supposed to go to the open door to like move in on Monday. And, you know, so obviously I'm using, so I show up on Monday and I can't drop clean for them. And, you know, if anybody ever has met Mike W. that works over there, you know, so he was just like, all right, man, try again, come back next week, kind of, you know what I mean? Well, go to these meetings, come here on Wednesday, just show up again next week, we'll try again, baby. And so I fucking I was standing outside waiting on my parents to come pick me up because I wasn't living anywhere. I'd lost my place to live when I got locked up. And I remember exactly where I was standing, right up against the lamppost that I was standing up against. I remember what song I was listening to. And it wasn't a super intense moment, but it really was just as simple as just like, nah, I'm done.
Clarity.
I'm done with this.
Yeah.
I'm done with this.
So this was the day that you did not get into the open door.
Yeah. The day I didn't get into the open door and I'm standing out and like, I knew that they were on their way to get me and I knew that they were going to be pissed.
So mad.
And they were, because they had also not cut me out entirely, but they were at the end of their fucking rope too.
Yeah.
So, and I remember everything that happened after that point. I mean, we went to Jimmy John's downtown to go get lunch and they were across from the table with me. They're like, we don't know what to do with you. We don't know what the best thing is for you. Like, we don't know, do we literally lock you in a room until a week from today? Do we kick you out? Do we, you know, whatever, because they were still, relatively speaking, they were still pretty new to all of this.
Yeah.
But, you know, I was able to look across the table with full sincerity and just go, do whatever you need to do for you. I don't care anymore. We're done with this. Like, it's not happening anymore. And you know, that
was probably the first time you reacted that way with them, huh?
Yeah, probably. I mean, because it was always the desperate try and sneak out the back door kind of shit. And fortunately enough, I mean, I probably could have and would have been out there a lot longer had they not taken the steps when I went into rehab in 2014 for themselves. I mean, both of my parents have a program too. Like, they have been heavily involved with their own 12-step fellowship. I mean, my father sponsors people. He travels to conferences. He, you know, does everything in their own fellowship.
That's amazing.
You know, and so they are equipped. And had they, you know, that was kind of a bring it to a head moment. But like, bro, if I went back out today, like, they would not be having any of my shit. Like, there ain't no way.
Right. They know now. They've been educated.
Enough. Yeah.
So that day, you know, a week goes by, you stay at mom and dad's house, and then eventually what? Do you get back into, do you go see Mike W and you pee clean, you go to the open door and I know what happened at the open door because I know what the open door does, but you got involved.
Yeah, correct.
Action.
So I was at the door for 6 months, about 6 months. I think I moved in first week of May, second week of May, and moved out at some point in December. Technically on dishonorable discharge, but not for anything super egregious. And they were very nice about it. They were like, "Look, we're gonna give you a couple days, but like, you gonna get the fuck out." But
it's not a place to go.
Hey, and that's correct. Like if I have anybody that's a newcomer that approaches me and we're talking about the level of willingness that they have and they happen to be, either not in a place at that time or, if the circumstances warrant it, that's the only place that I send them because it's like, I know what's going to happen there and they do not fuck around and they do not care about about having an empty bed space. Like if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, gone. Get the fuck out of here.
You're gone.
And it's all come full circle too, because fast forward a handful of years down the line, the guy that moved in a day before me is on the board. My other half is on the board. My dad is on the board
of the door.
That's
incredible.
And I've been fortunate enough to be able to be invited back and involved. And, I have so much love for that organization. And it's been really cool to have the opportunity to kind of stay plugged in to a certain extent. And I'll be the first to admit that I should stay more plugged in. I should go to the meetings there more.
Well, there you go. Maybe now we just put it out there and it'll happen now. So when did you actively get involved in a program or a fellowship while you were there? And if so, what was it?
Yeah, you bet. I'm despite the fact that we're on a recovery podcast, I'm still going to keep traditions in mind. So 12-step fellowship.
Okay.
12-step fellowship. And I actually ended up reconnecting with a guy who I lived with in the sober house in 2015, who ended up going to jail at the time for some past stuff that he was dealing with. He was sober and went to go deal with it. Ended up discovering that he was back around Toledo. So he was my sponsor up until about a year ago. He was my sponsor. So, again, kind of full circle kind of thing. It's like it could have been so much more difficult if I wasn't surrounded by the exact people that I was. And in associating with him, I was thrown into what a lot of people would call the old timers world. And for me, that's what I needed. I will always be, I've always been grateful that my sponsor was an asshole. That's really what it came down to, because I was so full of shit that I wasn't going to listen to anything unless it was, showing up to pick me up for a meeting, a men's meeting out in Maumee, and to get in the car and to hear the person that's sponsoring you go, the first words out of his mouth, "Listen, fucker, there are rules here." This one, other ones you can go in, you go to your Wednesday meeting that's kind of slap dick 12-step, and that's fine because those are people that are kind of at the similar stages as you. This is not that. You walk in, you get your coffee, you shake everybody's hand, and you sit down and you shut your fucking mouth. It was that direct. And I understand entirely that doesn't work for everybody.
Right.
It doesn't.
Right.
And I'm kind of as a sponsor, I kind of exist in the middle of that since that point. Because I've had examples where, this dude needs the shit kicked out of him. And then I've had other examples where somebody was the one continued. He's to this day the greatest example of somebody that is a totally different human being than when I met them. When I started sponsoring him, he'd be on the phone with me for 4 times a day with the world burning down. I couldn't take that approach with that guy. Like I couldn't take the smack you upside the head with a big book approach. Like that's not.
Well, it kind of goes into what we were talking about earlier. Exactly what we were talking about earlier. Like get it together and go get it today, or no. Like this is
absolutely
right.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, so I fell into the old school 12-step kind of portion of this city, and I've always been grateful for that because I
can relate to that.
I don't think that I would still be here. I didn't need the coddly bullshit nonsense.
Was that your only time going through like treatment, sober living, and then like actual 12-step work with a sponsor? Was that the only time? Like
what, when I got sober this time or the first time?
This time, like, did you experience other types of sponsors? Or was this your only experience with sponsorship, and thank God it happened that way your first time? So
when I got sober the first time in 2014, I did have a sponsor and I was working the steps. I was doing what I was supposed to be doing on paper. So looking back on it, it segues perfectly into the topic that y'all brought. I've said, in looking back on the first time that I got sober, that the primary reason that I didn't stick around was because there really was not enough or as much focus on the spiritual condition as there should be. You know, and that's also something that was made very clear to me.
So what was the focus on?
I don't know that it was necessarily focusing on something else, but it wasn't emphasized how important. So let me, I guess, give an example. So when I went through the steps this time, even in just reading through them for one of the first times, you know, my sponsor took time to point out the fact that in step 12, having had a spiritual awakening as the result of working singular, that's the goal here. And if I'm hearing anything else in going through this, but how to have a deep and effective spiritual experience, that's a half measure and I'm fucked.
Yeah.
He made it very clear up front. And not to say that my first sponsor didn't emphasize the spiritual portion of it, because he certainly did. You know, there was a connection with a higher power. There was emphasis made on that, but I just don't think that at the time I really grasped how critical that was to my continued success.
Right.
And I left something off the fucking fourth step. So there's that. That's it's been those two things.
Fourth step.
Those are the two things that I kind of pointed to. But anyway.
So were you going to say something?
Nope. Go for it.
You mentioned traditions, which I admire the hell out of you for doing that.
Press radio and films, homie.
Yep. Are you comfortable talking about some of your involvement in some outside like committees and subcommittees?
Sure. I can stuff. Yeah, I can dance around that a little bit to the best of my ability.
Okay. Because I know that and the reason I'm asking this is because I think it's important for someone else to hear this, hearing about what something like this did for you and how it might also work for them.
Of course. Yeah, we can, what's the term I'm looking for? We can shoehorn some shit in.
Yeah.
So when I was probably about a year and a half sober at that point, I got involved with a young people's committee, 12-step based young people's committee here in Toledo. And I've been involved with that committee ever since. I've had different positions on that committee, and the expressed goal of the committee itself is to have events and have get-togethers for people who are young at heart in sobriety, to get together. And really that, for me, the rewarding portion of that is to see the look on people's faces where the people who thought that getting sober just means that there's no fun left. And like those of us sitting in this room right now know that if you're not having fun, I don't know what the fuck to tell you. You're not hanging out with the right people. Like you're not, and there's a transition period where you're finding your people, right?
Sure.
But like and anybody like myself who's been around for at least a handful, the chunk of time, and if you're not having fun, there is something fucking wrong with the way that you're going about it. But these events that's really, I mean, shit. The two of you specifically, like, how many buses have come to the events that have been thrown by this committee over the years?
Insane.
And they have so much fucking fun, and that's so fucking cool. And I think about, I don't know why, but specifically for folks that have been in some of the facilities that the two of you have been involved with, I always think about the dodgeball event. I always think about the dodgeball event because that's the only one where I need to sit aside because, dude, they get so into it.
Yeah.
They get so fucking into it. And I made the poor decision of running the bracket, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago or something like that. Like, I made the decision where it's like, oh, I'm going to be in charge of the bracket and like writing the fucking names down and shit. And that was such a terrible idea. Like, we get like just over halfway through and I've got random fuckers on these teams like shouting at me and shit. And I'm just, and I got to a point where I was like, put on your fucking 4-step, man. Get out of here. Like, I don't care what your thoughts are in this competition right now. But that was not the most spiritual thing I've ever done. But anyway, but they have such a good time with it, man. They have such a good time with it. And that's really been the most rewarding part of being on the committee. We are fortunate enough, it kind of one of the underlying purposes of being on a committee. There are several of this capacity around Ohio. So there are other, we exist in this area. There are others that exist in other territories within Ohio. And everybody's kind of underlying goal is to host a conference. Like, there's a statewide conference every year. And we, a couple months ago, just secured the conference to be in Toledo in 2023. So that's going to be our primary focus over the next year, having events that continue to raise money so that we can put the conference on. And have you been to one of them? One. Have you been to one of them? Have you?
To one of the conferences?
Yeah.
Maybe not this fellowship.
The state conference.
Not
yeah.
this
What about you? I haven't been to a state conference. No, just local.
They're a fucking bash, bro.
Yeah.
Like, and I can't wait to see.
I lost count of how many I've been to.
Really?
Really? You've been to that many conferences?
I've been to ones in neighboring states, been to a handful of Ohio ones at this point. Like, they're fucking phenomenal.
So that's what I was going to say too, because there might be some people listening outside of Ohio, or perhaps maybe they're in a different fellowship or whatever it is. But I think the resounding theme here is just getting involved.
Yeah.
And whether that is service work or any sort of altruism of being there and not just showing up and going to a meeting and right, like getting outside of self and doing more.
Yeah.
Doing more and giving back and serving on whatever that position is, whether it's filling out the fucking bracket or if it's, making the coffee at the thing or treasurer or whatever it might be.
I'm pretty sure that was Bages too, the guy like super pissed off about it. Anyway.
It makes sense.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Really sense. Can you?
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
but how important was that? And leading into the whole reason we're here today with Step 11, how important is that sort of, I guess, just attitude and approach towards your whole program of recovery and your mentality towards recovery of doing things like that, towards your relationship with God? Enormously important. I mean, it's especially in the more recent years. It's just been very simple. It's like if somebody, or whether it be a committee or an individual or a group, like somebody needs help, you help them. The end. Simple. The end. And that much more often than not will provide me with kind of subservice opportunities that I wouldn't have come to before. Right, yeah. Contact with the newcomer, contact with people who, especially post-COVID, like coming back into touch with some people that I haven't seen because we were trying to promote the elections for this committee. I can't even tell you how many motherfuckers that I've seen in the last handful of months where I'm just like, dude, it feels like 5 million years since I've run into you somewhere, and I'm just so happy about it.
But anyway, that's it. All levels of service like that are always connected to the maintenance of the spiritual condition, for sure. And I will be the first person to admit, and I've talked about this a lot in the last handful of months, where, we talked off air about my job and how trying it's kind of been. That is directly connected to a lack of spiritual maintenance. I mean, and not a dangerous one. I'm not to a point where I'm going to go pick up or anything like that. But what I've found is that, what I found through the course of my sobriety is like, there are a fair amount of people that can be in the same spiritual routine, and that's just fine. And they get the same kind of benefit and the same kind of serenity and the same kind of connection. And it just kind of keeps them grounded. I'm one where it needs to change. I've discovered, the kind of only one that I default to is third step prayer. That's really the only one that I've continued to default to on a semi-daily basis, since the beginning, but it changes. It changes a lot for me. And yeah. Those service opportunities are places where I can continue to feel grounded without necessarily going through a practice of some kind.
Yep.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah. I mean, that's how they're connected.
That's crazy, man. In your phone every day, in my phone, like getting back to basics a lot of times for me now is like, I need to like implement the third step prayer in my life.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like that's like where I go to, like,
I'm happy I'm driving into the office more rather than working remotely, specifically so that I have that 10-minute meditation time from when I pull out of my driveway until I pull into work.
Yeah.
That's your time.
Yeah.
Use that.
That's
to
what
meditate.
I'd space into meditation when I'm driving, unless somebody pisses me off. But, I do a really good job of remaining very centered for whatever reason when I'm on that drive in.
Yeah. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
First of all, when's your anniversary? Your sobriety date?
May 6th, 2016.
2016. That's a miracle, dude. What,
that right? Yeah. 5-6. I don't
one day at a time, right?
See what I'm saying? The details gone.
It just doesn't matter.
Like I have to like remember details. I'd like go through this process of like looking for clues like Sherlock Holmes inside my own fucking head.
Got to go to the Amtrak station in Cleveland to figure out. It's like, oh yeah, it's May 7th.
Yeah, that's where the connection is. Anyway, you were saying.
Does the third step prayer hit different now that you've been sober?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, because I remember saying the third step prayer 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. And like now, like I'll find times the words were just words. I feel like it was like trying to remember it, trying to recite it, trying to go from like reading to memorization. And then it was just like, okay, I gotta say this. I gotta say this. And now it's like, I get to say this. I get to feel this. I get to like mean what I'm saying. And like, while I'm saying it, be like, God, I needed that. It means something. It's different. Yeah. It's different than what it was for me, at least. Do you
100%.
Do you feel that too?
Yeah,
Anybody else
100%.
feel that?
And I, you talked about the first time that you said it. I remember the first time that I said it too, and it was on my knees with my sponsor on a porch on Cherry Street on open door. Like it was. So I have this continued trend as I went through the steps of like doing some of the more intense spiritual based practices throughout the steps in just hilarious circumstances. And we don't have to launch into that, but yeah, it absolutely hits different at this point. And I think so. The way that I would put my own connection with a higher power at its core is an exercise of trust. An exercise of trust in the effect of comfort that I get by practicing that trust. So at the beginning, when I first got sober, and I'm not experienced in that practice yet, and I'm not experienced with that level of trust in that I'm actually going to receive the comfort or benefit from it. It is just words, exactly like you said. But now it's very, very, very different. I mean, and so I've never, there are those who relate and identify with a specific deity when talking about the concept of a higher power. I'm not one of those. Again, I focus more on, I've always focused more on the effect that is received rather than, and that's always been the reason why, despite my rigorously religious upbringing, that's always the reason why 12-step works for me, is because in Catholicism that I was used to, the deity is the most important thing. The spiritual principles and morality were secondary and oftentimes left open for translation in some respects. In AA, it's flipped.
Yeah.
And that's been the part that it was able to get it for me to click.
Yeah.
And so now when I'm going through something like a 3rd-step prayer, I'm able to receive, I'm able to actually, it's so hard to put into verbalize, to really verbalize, but to bring back centered and focus on the handful of things that prayer is really trying to communicate. So relief from bondage of self, doing your will, and the most important for me, and it was emphasized to me by a sponsor, and it continues to be the thing that hits the hardest.
Take away my difficulties?
No.
What is it?
May bear witness to those that I might help.
That I may help.
My primary function in day-to-day life is to be of maximum service to other people. Period.
Yep.
I fall way short of that on many occasions.
Sure.
But
I hear you.
That's the mentality I have to keep.
It really does hit. Like when I say that prayer every single morning, when I wake up, the very first thing that I do before I touch my phone or anything else, when my eyes open up in the morning, I'm in a habit of just saying it. I just say it's it doesn't matter where I'm at, doesn't matter what day of the week it is. I say it every single day.
I take a shit first, but
I do it before my feet hit the floor, before I touch my phone, before I get up and shit. But I attach it to things that are like the things that I know are going to happen that day. You know, it's like whatever happens, God, whatever happens this is your will. This is not whatever. I might want this meeting to work out this way, but it is what it is. And you know, it just, for me, it has. And I think that it's important to set, we're seeking through these things, prayer and meditation, to improve that relationship. And that's why prayer has changed for me. Prayer and meditation have changed significantly for me.
You bet.
Over the course of time, because it didn't mean anything at first, and it means so much now, and the relationship has improved.
Yeah. And I think for me too, like hearing that though, like the prayer and meditation, components, like prayer and meditation.
It's the meditation routine that needs to change for me, for sure.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's forever evolving.
Yeah, the listening, the feeling, the intuiting. Yeah, because in the morning, you relieve me of the bondage, right? For me right away, right? Like that hits right away because I'm like, man, fuck this. I'm tired. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, this is bullshit. And then like a very similar routine to yourself, but taking a shit is when I'm like listening. You know what I mean? In the morning, like that's where I'm like sitting with my prayer, sitting with myself, whatever the bondage is that's fucking that I have going on, and time to just kind of listen and reflect. But
yeah, you bet.
It's important, man. You know, but the practice for me happened typically for like, fuck, dude, I went a year and a half where it was here first, and then I'd go to prayer,
absolutely,
or whatever it is. You know what I mean? And I was immediately like, it just wasn't working. It wasn't working. My head was somewhere already outside of that. You know, I was already taken somewhere away. I was too far into self right away. As soon as you pick that thing up.
Yeah. Shit. 3rd step. Listen to Stephen Colbert's monologue from the night before. That's my morning routine.
That's a good routine.
That's my morning
routine. I like
routine.
Colbert.
Yeah.
That was good, man. It was really good talking to you. Thank you.
Yeah,
dude.
Appreciate it.
Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the episode. Here at Team Recovery, we have a lot of meetings going on. FAD is one of them.
FAD stands for Families After Addiction or Death. We've got the meeting every Thursday night at 7 o'clock at our Team Recovery office here. Check out this video to give you an idea of what FAD is about.
I have never been to a meeting like FAD before.
My favorite part about FAD is sharing my story and, parents relating to that with their own kids and, getting more understanding of what their kid might be going through.
As a mom, it's been helpful just to kind of understand both sides of it, and hopefully they hear, what I was going through all them years also.
To me, FAD is the place I come to be able to spend Thursday nights with my family. And that didn't always mean that my brother was here or whatnot, but everyone here is my family.
FAD to me is the best meeting I come to. Personally, I have not ever been to a meeting like FAD before where it was solely based on families. That's why it's my favorite meeting.
It's a whole different perspective on both aspects, being able to share our experiences. It gives a better understanding, and that way we're able to see what we as addicts have done to our parents and our families, and the parents are able to understand why we've done what we've done,
I just walked out of a FAD meeting and I saw 15 people crying, I saw 30 people laughing, I saw kids, I saw babies, I saw people in recovery, I saw some people that were still struggling to get clean. I saw families that came for years and didn't know what to do with their loved ones. And today I saw them in there with their loved ones, clean and sober. And that is the most beautiful thing to see. And that's what you can expect.
I was scared to come to my first FAD meeting because I thought it was going to be like other 12-step meetings. What I didn't expect when I came in was the feeling of family and hearing other people's perspectives that weren't addicts themselves.
If you're considering coming to the FAD meeting, but you were scared, like I was today, I would suggest just, ripping the Band-Aid off and jumping right in and getting over that fear. I did that. I feel comfortable now. I'm glad that I went. I'm gonna go back again.
Golf and mandalas. Magdalenas. Mandalanis.
I should have been keeping a tally this whole time at how
many butcherings
each one of y'all have fucked all that up.
Nobody said it right the whole time.
not once.
Yeah, that was a good segue into the show again.
It's as good as any, I guess.
It really is. We've talked about a lot of stuff.
Oh shit,
Jason, I'm really excited to talk with you a little bit. Before we do that, I wanted to let you know, I don't know if you've heard about this. So actually, I think that this was just announced like 2 or 3 days ago from the NASW, the National Association of Social Workers. Are you familiar with this?
I am.
An amendment to House Bill 509 has been proposed that would allow for people with degrees other than in social work to be licensed as an LSW. Tell me your thoughts on that, dude. I know you have some feelings and thoughts about that. So I want to go back to the backstory. The reason that this is happening is because there's a huge shortage of social workers in the state of Ohio. Huge shortage. So they're trying to think of ways to say, how can we speed that up? Because social work degree takes 4 years. And they don't want to wait 4 years for there to be a appropriate amount of social workers. At least that's my understanding on the main reason why they're doing this, or at least looking at this. And so they're saying that basically anybody with a bachelor's degree can become a social worker. Tell me your thoughts on this, because I'm very interested to hear.
It discredits the profession.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain things. So my bachelor's degree was not in social work.
Mm-hmm.
So I know firsthand that going into the field of social work, I wasn't prepared as a social worker, right,
mm-hmm.
to do
mm-hmm.
social work.
Right.
I didn't have that. I didn't have that knowledge. I didn't have that education.
Sure.
I think it probably won't pass.
I don't think it will either.
But it does a total discreditation to the people that have put lots of money into a underpaid degree.
Right.
It just devalues that trade, that the field of social work.
It's bizarre to me, dude. It's like, I mean, I get it. I get what they're trying to do, but there has to be a better solution. Like, the thought of just saying you have a degree in business, or you like you have a degree in economics, or you have a degree in pharmacy. So like, come talk to me about, whatever it might be, significant trauma, PTSD, rape, addiction, homelessness, veterans. Like, how can you think that is just you have a degree
and here diagnose these things,
and to diagnose, that's what an LSW can do, diagnosing mental health and substance use disorders. And then not only doing that, but and then think about kids. I mean, not just working with adults. I mean, we're talking about kids, dude. Like, that's a lot to learn that these individuals go through and then take a test for, like a legit test.
And if it does, nothing about this. This
is brand new.
Crazy.
This is brand new.
This is like a week. I think the news broke like a week ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I just lost my train of thought. It hurts agencies.
What's that? Not having the social, or this proposed House bill?
If it passes and these people are out looking for jobs, agencies will probably have to hire them.
Yeah.
It's going to cut. They're going to have to be paid less.
Mm-hmm.
So it affects the quality of care that people that need help are going to get.
Mm-hmm.
It also increases the amount of training that employers have to give the social workers that should have gotten that training
already before they came
in
out.
college.
Right. Well, and not only that, I mean, think about
it. Forgive me, because I don't know anything about what we're talking about here, really.
Yeah.
But like, would each individual, like an individual agency, still be allowed to have their own kind of basically like specific criteria that
they would hire?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, they couldn't force an agency to hire
anybody with an LSW license.
I mean, so that permits.
Sure, you can still have your own policy, but I mean, but
there will be agencies that take advantage of that to underpay those people to give crappy care.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and maybe that's their tactic. I don't know. I mean, you say that, it's like maybe that's what they want to do, to see who will take the bait and hire these people who are not qualified, because everything's going to VBR, everything's going to be value based. You can't tell me that you're going to have good outcomes when you're hiring people like that. So maybe that is the way that they're looking at it, to say, let's let people decrease their own value by hiring people like that, or let's see if people actually uphold certain standards, and those are the people that are going to prevail. So maybe it's way bigger than we all even know. But it's crazy. And before we got into talking about it, I figured that you would have heard about this and wanted to hear your stance on it.
So a big theory behind like the whole Medicaid redesign was to minimize agencies. It was to have Northwest Ohio have a mental health agency. It was to have Northeast Ohio. It was to have 4 or 5 agencies that ran all the areas,
all the other little ones,
and to then go to VBR.
Yep.
Obviously, there's going to be certain, and these are government based agencies that they were trying to package up, not your for-profit, grassroots type places. It was like the community mental health that they were trying to make smaller, and it hasn't happened yet.
Right.
And Pete, are you familiar with the VBR? What that?
No, I'm really self-admitted. I'm unfamiliar with anything that we're like the dynamics or the structure of anything that we're talking about here. I know nothing.
Value-based reimbursement is what VBR stands for. It means that a provider of treatment of mental health services will get paid based on what
outcomes,
what they provide to their clients. Is the client staying out of the hospital? Is the client
results driven?
Is the client getting? Is the client? Are the clientele of these places getting better? Instead of, are you seeing 30 clients a day?
Right. The way that it sits right now, just to clarify it a little bit more, doesn't matter what agency is, agency A or agency B. If you are a client in detox, we all bill the same rate.
Yep.
Right.
Client agency A bills, call it $100 a day. Agency B also bills $100 a day. So everybody has the same rates, regardless of if they're offering a good service or not. And what they're trying to get to is actually measuring how good is your service. Are you decreasing emergency room visits? Is the person's overall health
Right.
getting better? Are they having less crisis?
God,
is their financial situation? Are they becoming employed again? Things of that.
I would
nature.
not want to be a part of the group that's in charge of coming up with all the criteria for that shit. It's a great idea. I mean, for people that are from our perspective, like that's got to be the preferred way to do it. Like, because none of us, I would not if I came across a newcomer, I would not send them to a place that I knew was shitty.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't send them somewhere where it's just like, and I'm not name dropping anywhere because we're not doing that. But
do it.
Nope.
Do it.
We're not here. We're not here for fucking recovery smear campaigns. Like, but I wouldn't send them somewhere where
they got the lowest rates.
Right. It's not. Wouldn't do that. So, okay, that makes a little sense to me. I appreciate you indulging my ignorance.
And so VBR is also good for the clinicians too, because it takes away the pressure of having to meet so many clients. It takes away, you don't need productivity.
Right.
Yeah, you don't need the volume.
You're not constantly getting burnt out because you're not meeting your numbers. So you're providing the client a better care because
the rates are higher.
You're feeling better about yourself. You're not worried about, am I meeting my numbers or... So it just makes more sense all around.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do think about that though. I'm like, God, man, I feel like some of that data, some of that outcome, like how do you really track it? And who's putting together the reports? And are we self-reporting or is this like, how can you possibly measure if someone is actually really getting better from an outside perspective? I mean, we can say the person's getting better as much as we want to.
Especially because each individual, the scale of are you getting better, and again,
it's subjective.
Exactly,
it's extremely subjective.
Exactly, and I'm sure that there are some things in place where you can kind of qualify, the scale, I guess.
I mean, there'll be some type of studies that they do. The state does. A lot of it be measured through Medicaid. It's Medicaid. It's not our private insurances that are worried about. Private insurance don't care.
Right. Yeah, they don't give a shit. They really don't.
They're paying or they're not paying for what.
Most of the time, they're not. Most of the time, it's denying. Yeah. But that I've seen. That's a great point because I've seen some studies on certain medications or whatever it might be, and it's like. This is a 80% success rate. And then you look at what do you mean by success rate?
Why are you calling?
And the way that they look at these studies and the way that I literally saw one. It was success is measured by 3 or less relapses in a calendar year. It's like really
yeah.
Okay, then by those guidelines, it is 80%.
And at that point, respectfully, eat a dick. Like that's not.
Right.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I feel like there's so much
of a level of care and different things and like.
And it depends on what the medication is though too, because relapse.
Because that's also
we don't have a monopoly on the word relapse.
Right.
Addiction does not have a monopoly on that word.
Right.
Diabetics relapse.
True. 100%.
People with cancer relapse. So.
Well, and even in different fellowships, like
it was
overeaters,
opioid treatment medication.
Like, I know which one you're talking about too. Just fucking like the same kind of vibe commercials that you get from like Cialis or some shit there. Dude, it's so bad.
Right.
Sunshine, golfing, like
like
just smiling, walking through.
Get off your opiates and take this pill so you can enjoy a bath in
80% of the time.
So you can enjoy a bath that's put the bathtubs by the beach for no apparent reason, like at all. Just a bathtub,
you know what I mean?
Like
how did that get there,
like
dude?
That kind of shit.
What is that? A bathtub on the beaches
on the porch.
Yeah, like what is this?
Yeah, like somehow if you start taking this shit, you'll end up living some some
you can have your own beach with a bathtub on it.
And the most hilarious part about that is the fact that the audience, obviously, that it's marketed to, every single one of us will take a look at that and be like, you are full of shit.
Absolutely.
Like
absolutely.
Like I've got as much owed in debts to people right now as you just portrayed in that 5-second B-roll clip.
But dude, that's why it's important though, like because there's skewed narratives, like to just fucking have these conversations, motherfuckers on different
to get attention.
It's skewed narratives in a lot of respects, but I mean more specifically skewed narratives in the advertising industry.
For sure.
that
for sure.
It's kind of bizarre what they can get away with.
Oh my God.
It's bizarre what they can get away with.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to talk about
It's a whole nother, that's a whole nother episode.
You want to talk about one? It just gets to me because of the fact that, you know, there are a lot of people, as we're well aware, that are genuinely struggling. Like we're using the example of an opioid medication. Like there's so many people that desperately need that shit. And to, you know, to take that skewed narrative approach, like get fucked. That's anyway.
Big pharma.
Yeah. Hey.
So Jason, tell similar to what Pete did, tell us about yourself. Tell our listeners who you are, where you came from, how old you are, and give us your elevator pitch of a story and so we can get in some of the details and the solution.
All right. My name is Jason Mooring. 39 years old for a couple months, month and a half, however many days now, a month and 2 days, whatever. I'm knocking on 40's door.
January 3rd?
4th.
All right.
Yep. I'm from Toledo. It was kind of crazy. Like, I don't think I've ever met Pete other than like on Facebook, seen him on Facebook. How like similar our stories kind of are. I'm a Catholic boy too.
Yeah.
Blessed Sacrament.
St. Clement's.
St. Clement's.
My mom and aunts went to Blessed Sacrament. My cousin, his kids went to Blessed Sacrament up until like a year ago. But yeah.
Very cool.
How did I get here, huh?
Good life coming up for the most part.
No. Eventually.
Okay.
So my mom and dad, I come from, they had me right out of high school. They were both young. They were both into partying. They didn't make it. They didn't last. We're going back to the cocaine crack epidemic. My mom got really bad into that. Hopefully she don't care that I share this.
We can.
It's part of my story. So, I mean,
okay.
She's heard my lead, so she knows. So I ended up with my grandparents and life got good then. Spoiled good.
Yeah.
To be honest. And like, if I wanted something, I had it. Whitmer High School. I know this guy. Normal childhood, man. Like, just did normal stuff. I got into a skilled trade. I got into the drinking scene really, really quick. It was huge at our school. Yep. We have huge sports, so like drinking, football games, all that was huge. And I fell right into that stuff. Because of like childhood experiences, like I always said I wouldn't do other things. Anyways.
that didn't work. That didn't work out.
That did not work out. No.
I seen it.
How'd that work out for you? Pretty good?
No, not at all. So, everything's fine up until probably 21. When I hit 21, the bar life was really, really big. I was in a skilled trade. I was in an apprenticeship. Like on paper, you would think everything was just fine. I was in a long-term relationship, right from like my junior year of high school up until 6 months before I got sober. Somehow made a relationship work. I wasn't the best partner by any means. Wow. Some days still not.
We're exactly the same there too.
So somewhere along the lines, I did some of the things that I always said I would never do, because they help me drink. Right, I could drink for days and days, doing this thing. But I can. It's cocaine, right?
Yeah.
I can say it here.
You can say it here.
So
it was cocaine.
Drinking the powdered alcohol.
Yeah, I minimized it for a long time because it wasn't the form of cocaine, right? So, and it wasn't like, it was never like the thing I had to have. Like that was alcohol for me. But it definitely, that drug definitely sped up the process of me being able to get sober when I did. Like I got sober at 25, which is relatively young.
It is.
And that, like the saying is, "Oh, I spilled more on my shirt than you ever drank."
Yeah, right.
I guess you shouldn't have been so sloppy. You might have got here. You might have got sober sooner. You know.
I love that. It's a good rebuttal.
So, needless to say, like things are progressing with that substance, with my drinking. I'm not paying bills. I'm going places to get money that I can't pay back. A lot of other things, doing things that may or may not be legal to get money. And I still can't make ends meet. And like, I got a girlfriend paying half the bills because I'm drinking them and snorting them and smoking it up. I owe a lot of people that I am doing illegal things for because I don't have their money either.
Right. Right.
So it just got bad.
Yeah.
I wouldn't come home, and finally on St. Patrick's Day 2008, I picked up my phone and don't come back home. I didn't go to work that day. I don't know how I kept the job for that whole time either. I kept the same job.
Shit. Wow.
And so after that, that's when it got really bad for me. I drank every day pretty much. I was living back in West Toledo. My mom was living in Section 8 low income housing. So I moved in with her, started doing things that she was doing, drinking every day, and just life started to suck. You know, I was edging towards that point.
The death spiral.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's just down quick.
You know, some literature talks about like where we reach the jumping off point where we can't picture our life the way it is. Yeah. We can't picture it without the things we do that made our life the way it is.
Yeah.
And I was slowly getting to that point. A year later, no, it wasn't a year later. I got my journeyman card like shortly thereafter. So I was a journeyman in the trade I was in. After an all-nighter, I passed the test somehow.
Damn.
So
Jesus, how is this happening?
Props.
That's what we do, man. If you look at addicts, like we're some of the smartest people in the world, man.
Yeah.
We persevere. We survive. We.
Yeah, you made it happen.
If normal people did what we did, they'd be dead. Absolutely. We persevere through things. So somehow I passed the test. My grandfather dies shortly thereafter. I'm still like in contact at this point with the girl, but not really. Like she's done, but I'm still like trying to manipulate and do what we do.
Right.
So anyway, my grandpa dies. Not the grandfather that raised me, but my dad's dad passed away, and she wouldn't be there for me. She like wouldn't. I'm not coming. I'm not going to be there. And so passed away. His funeral was like on a Saturday, and I took like 4 days of work off, however many they would let me. You know, I think I had rest like Thursday night. I'm out with my cousin, and he gets pulled over. I don't think he even still has a license. So he gets
still doesn't.
I don't think so. No. So he gets pulled over. We're on Lasky Road. I'm close to home, you know, and I've been drinking like all day long. And they say, you want to drive home? I don't know if it was they were setting me up or what, but I'm like,
this feels like a trick.
Right.
But I'm like, so like God was on my side because it was stick shift. I don't know how to drive stick shift. So I'm like, I don't know how to drive this car. Well, we'll give you 10 minutes to find a ride. And it was like 2 in the morning. Nobody's coming to pick me up. So I get arrested for that. And like, great, right?
Wait. So your arrest story, you got
arrested for
you got offered the chance to drive home
drunk,
call someone
drunk, or call somebody, and because it was a stick shift and it was 2:30 in the morning, that's how you got arrested.
They gave me a disorderly conduct because I was drunk.
That's fucking wild,
that
bro.
sucks, dude.
Dude,
Let him walk home.
And this is...
You were the passenger in the car?
Yep.
Let him walk.
This
What
is
is this? What is this?
This is difficult at this point because like that's
Dude.
one of the more... It's difficult to hear an impressive arrest story, like as far as the details go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I'm sure I was
that's
an
the
asshole.
most. That's the most unique one.
That's
I've heard
okay.
in a while.
See, he's leaving some shit out.
There you
I
go.
don't really
He was
remember.
fighting the cop.
No, I didn't do. It didn't go that far, but I'm sure I wasn't.
Fucking drive a stick.
I'm sure I wasn't cool, dude.
Yeah, you were calling him all sorts of fucking.
I'm sure I probably
all
was.
sorts of shit. You were
I'm sure
talking
I was
about his
probably,
mother.
I was probably nice for like 2 minutes.
You think I can drive this stick shift up your ass? Like, yeah.
But yeah, they still were gonna let me go home if I could get a ride, but I couldn't.
That sucks, dude.
Oh man.
So we fast forward. That's like June, August 6th. I frequented sidelines.
Yeah.
Attaboy.
And
Yeah, attaboy.
it was like a draft beer. It was like a draft beer night or something. So like we closed it. We end up like flirting with waitresses, and we go back to their place. And I was like 2:00 in the morning, and I get into it with my buddy that I was out drinking with, and I'm like, dude, I gotta get out of here. I gotta go home. And on my way home, like driving, I'm out in so we go from Lasky, which is like a block away from my house, to Perrysburg.
You went to the wrong spot. No.
So on the way home, driving up Oregon Road, and like for some reason, like my rear view mirror was like tilted down to like where I would look at it, it would look back at me, and not like out the back.
Where this is going.
Oh, geez.
And I saw myself, and I was just like,
Fuck.
Oh, that's not where I thought that.
Oh,
was
yeah,
going.
me neither. I thought
I was thinking
you were on a high speed chase for an hour, and you didn't even know that they were behind you.
That's where I thought that was going.
no. So I see myself. I'm disgusted. I hate it. And my only option was take myself out. 100 miles an hour up Oregon Road, swerve to the right into a ditch. Boom.
Damn.
Holy shit.
Just out of nowhere. Driving.
So you literally had a moment where you saw yourself in the mirror.
Fuck
like you had one of those moments where you saw yourself in the mirror.
Fuck it.
That's
Damn.
This is it. I don't have no other option out of this. Like, I mean, that we all been there.
Absolutely.
It's the one of two options.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
And it didn't work. it didn't work. So I ended up having broken foot, broken thumb, and a traumatic brain injury. A couple weeks later, they let me out of the hospital. 2 days later, they shouldn't have. St. V shouldn't have. I had a brain bleed, and I started having like neurological symptoms like that. My hands would go numb, my face would go numb.
Holy shit!
I was having like severe migraines, and I went back to Toledo Hospital, and they found the brain bleed.
Damn, they didn't check for that before they let you out.
I had to keep food. I had to keep food down. Like I wanted to go. I want to go home.
Yeah,
like it's partly me, but yeah. So there's medication that can resolve it. If it doesn't, you have to have surgery. So medication didn't work, so I had to go back. I was in Toledo Hospital for like 2.5 more weeks. Had a hole drilled in my head. And,
jeez, dude.
And somewhere in that point, like I told him like what happened, why it happened. And so I had to go to the psych unit for 72 hours, even though it was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Like, dude, come on. I'm good now.
So now you guys want to enforce the standards. Got it.
And so here we are, like, that's not my bottom. So here we are, like, I'm starting to realize like this drinking is the problem here. And so I trying to control my drinking, trying to control what I'm doing. I haven't done drugs in a few months. Like that's not in the picture anymore. I go to my cousin's getting married in Cincinnati, and they're staying in the hotel the Bengals stay at. It's like this fancy ass hotel. And the Bengals were there that weekend too. Like I could have met Chad Johnson, whoever was playing for Cincinnati.
Before he became Ocho Cinco.
I think he might have been Ocho Cinco then. So I mean, this was 2008.
Yeah, I was going to say that's post Ocho Cinco.
Okay. I think he was Ocho Cinco, because he rolled up in his Dukes of Hazzard car. Generally,
God,
jeez.
Yeah, I didn't see any of that. Like I was like, obviously I got drunk.
Yeah.
So go there, I make a fool of myself. I come home. My last drink is I'm trying to reconcile with the girl. Like we're talking, like she was there for like all the brain stuff that I was going through. Go to her house. I'm supposed to come home to play like poker with a buddy. And she's like, you're on the east side. I can't come get you. So I'm stuck. And it was like her friend's birthday party or something. And they're all drinking. And I haven't drank for like 2 weeks. I'm like, oh, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. You know, that whole,
yeah.
So I wasn't okay, but like I didn't participate. They left to go get like last call beers or something, and I'm like just jonesing like I had like
dude, the white knuckle feeling.
I had
just the worst goddamn.
I got to that point like that night, like I had to drink. Like I never experienced like that, like that feeling you have to have this, right?
Man. Until
that night. And so they left and I went upstairs. I was looking through my cupboards, like I know I got some. And my very last drink was a bottle cap of 1800 tequila. Drank it.
A bottle cap.
Yeah, you tip the bottle over and you fill it up and it's a shot. And there's enough in that bottle to do that. I drank it and like that was my moment of defeat. And I cried like a baby and I haven't drank since.
When was that?
September 29th, 2008.
Wow.
And I cheat myself of a few days because I think it was actually like September 26th, but I wasn't introduced to recovery until like October 29th.
So tell me how that, so it's been 14 years.
14 years.
Attaboy. Good shit.
It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. So tell us about how, September 28th, and then what happened between September 28th and October when you were introduced to recovery.
So I had that experience.
Were you white knuckling it? I mean, the next day, I'm just trying to think about this. You had your last shot, you cried.
I white knuckled it. I had no idea I didn't know like
recovery.
I didn't know what recovery was. Like it was foreign to me. I used to take a dude to the idle time clubs because he was on like federal probation for selling coke. But I didn't really know what he was doing there. We would get high and I'd take him.
Yeah.
He'd walk out 5 minutes later with a sheet of paper and off we'd go.
Yeah.
So I had no idea like what recovery was. And I just thought, man, I need church. I need. So I called my grandma, had her pick me up, and I went to church with my grandma and grandpa for a month every week and didn't want to leave the house. I just thought if I left, I'm fucked. I'm gonna get wasted. I'm gonna get high. I'm gonna get drunk. So that's what's gonna happen. So I stayed in the bedroom I shared with my 12-year-old brother and was afraid to leave.
Just locked yourself down.
Pretty much. It was miserable.
What was the first thing of a taste of recovery that you had?
So there used to be a place called Rusty's House.
Yeah.
It was run by a guy whose son had overdosed that went to St. John's.
Yeah.
Overdosed on cocaine and died in the shed or something. But he would go around and he was helping like high school kids.
Rick.
And he would do
interventions.
He would do assemblies at high schools, and some of them were open to the public, and they were doing one at Whitmer High School one day, and I happened to, my brother was going to it, and they invited parents, so the parents knew what like was being talked to in front of their kids. So I went, and I'm talking to Rick afterwards, and they had like a meeting at Rusty's house that night, and I went and I got talked into going to some other meetings after that, and got sobered that way.
That's awesome. I remember Rick. He was a good guy.
He was all right guy.
He was a good guy. He was a good guy. I think he started with good intentions.
Yeah, I think, yeah. I can't, yeah. I never really got to know him too much. I mean, I probably wouldn't, I don't know if I'd be sober today if it wasn't, for him and he wasn't put in front of me when he did.
Right. crazy.
Did that take you? I kept seeing you like shaking your head, saying like just little details of the relationship or the work or the, whatever it was. Like I feel like you guys got a lot of connections.
Well, I mean, we went to high school together, and we were never really close in high school. But I mean, you hear and who people around the person, and for me, I was by 2008, I was running down a fast lane too, man, and pretty fucked up. And when he was like, I was probably an asshole, I was like, yeah, because he was a dick when he was drunk. You know what I mean? And we didn't hang out in the same circles, but we'd find each other sometimes in the same situations, but we also knew of each other. We grew up very close to one another. And so, I mean, looking and reflecting back, there's things that all of our friends, like a lot of people were fucked up, man. It was a culture of getting fucked up where we grew up. And so, I think at that point in time, though, I'm referencing that, like what he went through based off of like this impactful person in my life and what he was going through at that time and where I was at, and so, hearing that, I'm also connecting dots to the point of reference to the individual that ended up being really close to us. His name was Austin. And, this is probably one of the most sensitive things I've talked about on here or in general that I can speak about. But Austin, I know Austin entered in his life, and I tried to go to meetings a couple times, and Austin, carried the message, really, really well. And, I, found myself in Kent State, at one point, and, everybody had given up on me. I was working, and, Austin was the type of guy, he came out and got me. Nobody in the world knew that Austin was, doing what he was doing, and, probably never did. But Austin came out there to get me in the middle of a withdrawal, going through it and, being of service. That's what he did. But he ended up taking me to like a coffee shop one day, and I'm like, withdrawing and drinking like fucking espressos with him. And I feel worse afterwards, fucking going through it. But that's like the culture of the, recovery. And then I go to a meeting down, down the street on Talmadge at St. Mark's, and I seen him there. And I seen the relationship that him and Austin and Jason had, you know what I mean? And I was clearly a fucking mess, but I seen Jason, this is years prior to me finding myself, in recovery. But, I from those times I would think about Jason, while I was still going through it. I knew two people that were sober. One of them was Jason. One of them was Austin. And so when I'm going through what I'm going through, thinking about getting my shit together, I could remember that these two people were sober and they were smiling and they had something going on. So the idea of it being possible really started with them. I didn't know anything either, so what I knew is these two dudes that I grew up with. And it's really I've been really quiet because it causes me to be highly emotional. This is a really this individual still influences my life in ways that I can't really say without getting highly emotional. So I'm really thankful for Jason, and I'm not sure he understands the extent of that. But Austin too, without even doing anything, you did a lot for my life. You did a lot for my life. And it means a lot to me. This right now means a lot to me. A lot, Yeah. And then getting sober, I'm just really appreciative because when I did see you, you met me with open arms. And you treated me in ways that Pete said that his sponsor treated him. You kept it. You were honest with me, but you were also inviting and welcoming, and did exactly what I needed, which was tell me what I needed to hear. And you didn't try to take anything from me and make my path easier. You just did what needed to be done there. But it's really. It's a really, really deep emotion that I'm feeling because of it. Outside from you, I don't know if anybody has influenced my path to recovery more than Austin. And still to this day, when I think about like a third step prayer, you know, I still have the 12 and 12 that Austin gave me from Kent, that trip there with his name in it, you know, him trying to carry the message to me and give it to me, but not force it upon me. He just handed me a book, you know, and just handed me a book and saying, read this, you know, this is where you're going to get better. And that being true, you know, it's pretty fucking crazy, man. It's pretty crazy. You know, I think I've been waiting for this moment for a long time with you, bro. You know, yeah.
There's a lot of
that whole story is cool as fuck, and I love every moment of it.
I know. I
love all of that.
Our friend passed away. You know, he passed away. One of the first people I knew that passed away from, you know, from our illness, our disease, from addiction, from overdosing. And man, dude, I'm just thankful that me and you get to be here. You know, I would not be here if it wasn't for you and for Austin. I would not be here. I would not be here because of what you did too in my life and what happened there. But yeah, dude. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever seen you cry on the show before. This might be a first time.
I think so, man.
Jason, you made him cry.
I have that effect on people from time to time.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy, dude.
That's powerful stuff.
It's fucking crazy. Are you kidding me? I mean, I remember you were fucked up, dude. You know what I mean?
I was.
Yeah, dude. For sure. You know, and that's just how we lived. But I didn't know. I didn't know either. I got sober and I didn't know. I seen you and I was like, oh, people are sober, right? Mm-hmm. And you helped me understand that people like could enjoy life, you know? And, but the thing is like when I tried to get sober previously and I went to that meeting, when I went there, I still felt like I wasn't a part of that. You know what I mean? It was like, ooh, shit, man, this dude's kind of fucked up, but we're going to try to help him. But he's fucked up, bros. Like, take care of him. You know what I mean? And I'd go to like hang out with people that were sober at the coffee shop. And I was fucking just a dusty mop, dog. You remember? I was I was a fried piece of shit, you know?
But now, you know, we were with that dusty mop too.
Yeah. You know? Straight up. Yeah. I couldn't see that though. Right.
Right.
You guys were just better. You know what I mean? You guys were healthy. You know what I mean? I couldn't see that in that moment, but, yeah, dude. Yeah. It's fucking crazy. It's crazy.
It is wild to just think about, you know, just think about it like in high school when you guys were in high school at Whitmer and just thinking about like, would you be here 22 years later or whatever the hell it is, you know, like sitting in a podcast room talking about how great life is without substances.
Drugs. Without being ripped out of our minds.
Yeah. And like all the things that would have happened. And, you know, like you said, you guys weren't incredibly close in high school, but here you are, dude.
Yeah.
2 survivors from Whitmer High School. I can't say that I like am close with anybody. I don't think I know anybody else in my class that, I mean, I know some people that have struggled, but like not in Toledo that ended up getting clean, that like, you know, that I have that like comment, like, hey, we all know all these people together. You know what I mean? Like I know some people that are like, damn, like from other states, like they're like, we all know a ton of people. We all kicked it hard in high school. And all of a sudden there's 20 of them in the same city that like went from like kicking it hard to now all sober. It's like, man, I can't say that I know any of my friends that I used to like go hard with are sober today.
Well, it's important.
I don't have that.
I know one common denominator, but we didn't fucking like, we barely even knew of each other.
Right.
Like I've got one guy.
Yeah. We crumbled. Like our whole thing, everybody just everybody.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like everybody. And so like, and then like when you first reached out to me initially, you know what I mean? You expressed like to me, like, man, it's good to see somebody from where we like, you know.
So, Austin, I think actually happened to be at, that our house meeting, Rusty's house meeting, my first meeting. And I didn't like, I was a month sober. I was still like,
right.
I don't remember like really, I know I was there and I know like that was the first time I ever went to a meeting, but I'm pretty sure Austin, because he was involved with like Rusty's house a little bit. But I don't really remember for like probably, man, a month after that, like 2-3 months before like I could like
fried.
Bad, dude, bad.
Yeah.
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 So like looking back, like I don't know if I'd be sober if it wasn't for Austin.
Yeah.
Like I was so afraid of like once I like knew that this thing was like recovery was a thing. Like I was so afraid. Like my ego was so like someone's gonna know me. These people are gonna know me. I'm gonna know someone there. So probably 6 months before like I got sober, there's this guy that used to come get high with us, and I mean I was feisty. I could probably handle my own, but this like he probably would have whipped my ass, right? But he like got smart with my mom, dude, and I was just like, that's not happening.
Yeah.
And like he left, and he's at my first meeting.
Damn.
He said, I was waiting for you to walk through these doors.
He said that to you?
Yeah. And so he's like, you're the reason like I'm sober today. Because like what happened, how I treated your mom and how I treated you is why like.
Wow, that was his bottom.
That was his. I don't know if he's sober today, but like
that's fucking still at the time. That's fucking wild.
He said I left. I went and I bought some gas station booze, and he said I went to a park and like drank that, and I've been here. I've been sober.
Wow,
that's fucking. Just hearing you tell that story, I recall. So it's not like anybody that I used to kick it with, but that men's meeting where I got told to shut the fuck up. One of the first times that I went there, I was in one of the back rows, like just kind of, like again, I was being quiet, like, but there was a guy that started talking. He was in front of me, facing the front of the room, but he was kind of, off one direction. And I was like, that voice sounds really familiar. And we go to close the meeting out, and I'm just kind of like trying to like get a look at this dude's face. And I realize that I'm not going to say what subject or anything like that, but he was a teacher of mine that I spent a lot of time with. And I don't know that I've ever
had that happen, actually.
I don't know that I've ever seen, like I went up and talked to him afterwards. I built up the courage to go talk to him afterwards. I don't know that I've seen anybody more happy to see me in a room.
Really?
Yeah. He just gave me the most warm, open welcome.
That's cool.
And that's one of the cooler experiences that I've had. I was like, holy shit. Like, and he was sober at the time when, you know what I mean? Like he was sober at the time when you were a fucking teacher of mine. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
It was cool as fuck.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool. Jason, so I remember, I'm trying to remember when the very first time I went to Compass, you were there. You were, I don't know if it was a RA or a
counselor's assistant.
Was it a CDCA there?
Yeah.
And it was like you and Greg was there and Keith.
Dreadlock guy.
Well, that's one of them. But the other older guy, he passed away, had really bad like COPD. I don't want to say his last name. Keith B. Super, super awesome guy. And then you had like, I don't know.
That might have been before I worked there.
Okay. There was just a lot of really good people there. Tom. Remember Tom that loved the Steelers? You remember Tom?
Yeah, I remember Tom.
Yeah. There was just so many people there. Kiri? You know Kiri?
Mm-hmm.
Man, dude, like, wow. And now everybody's just like doing their own thing and like advanced and still in the field. A lot of people are still in the field, but I always appreciated you, man. Every time I came in, first because you were a Cowboys fan. Remember that. And that was one thing that we were able to just like relate on when nobody else wanted to like the Cowboys. but just the ability to, like Pete said, keep it real. Mm-hmm. You were one of the people that just did not like, you always called people out on their bullshit in a non-aggressive way, though. You would just like sit there and just like read. You'd be like, read the room and be like, yeah, but that doesn't make any sense, and I don't think that you should do that. Like, all right, I guess I have to be real in this group, you know, because
they're always the people that I respect the most.
100%.
Whether it be in a, like, because even when I got sober, the first time when I was an inpatient, I had a similar kind of style counselor. He had this thing, keep it real Thursdays. So he would literally just like come in and because he obviously got notes about what was happening with everybody like the whole week, and he would just light somebody up every single fucking Thursday. Like I remember this dude was about to get out in like 2 days, like go home, or I think he might have been going to Florida in like 2 days, and he had someone come as a visitor and like sneak him in an iPod, and they caught him with it. And like
an iPod.
literally like opened up the fucking room. He's like, hey, everybody, it's Keep It Real Thursdays. Kevin, why the fuck did you bring an iPod? You know what I mean? Like, just laid into it.
That.
And even the people
straight to it,
dude. Even the people in the rooms, like, they're the people that I tend to have the most respect for are the ones that have that sort of blunt approach. Like, I like a lot of the people around the rooms around here that a lot of other people can't stand.
Mm-hmm.
I love it because like you go to Westgate, you go to Maumee, and you say some dumb, like you sit down and you hear somebody that's got like 30 days say some dumb shit, and you just go, here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Here comes Joe.
Yeah.
Here comes or Westgate over here. Here comes Rolf. Like Rolf. The funny thing about it, you guys know who I'm talking about.
He might be one of the reasons I'm sober today,
dude.
Because he
gave the best lead I've ever heard around this area.
I'm not a fan of this individual, but so the individual I talked about that he said I was like the reason he got sober. He was really close with that individual, and there was one. I don't know I don't even know how like I was even part of this conversation after meeting one night. But he's like, you know, you're helping that guy. He ain't gonna stay sober. He was talking about me. Guess what?
Yeah, you got sober despite him.
I'm still sober, and so like ever since that, like it's not resentment, but I just don't.
Yeah.
Like,
damn.
To me, that's not recovery. To like,
no, and I agree with you to a certain extent, and that's kind of what I'm always am in this kind of middle ground between those two places. Because here's the thing, like with him in particular, like let's just say you're the victim of one of the rants at one of the meetings that he's at. You go up to him afterwards and you talk to him about it. It's a completely different story. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what,
like, I know him and I know that.
Yeah. Right. Well, but like what I'm getting at is that's the approach that I really appreciate, are the people that are absolutely no bullshit, and they'll leave the ball in your court to see if you actually want to do something about it. Because guess what? That's fucking willingness, you know? And that's, but I also understand the other side of it, where if somebody, let's just say that was somebody's first AA meeting ever.
Right.
And they get shit whipped back down to earth from somebody that's got like 30 years, like that guy may never come back. So there's always got to be the fine line. Like I'm not going to talk at anybody directly, like in a meeting or whatever, but like if I share something that it's along the lines of like we all know how, like if you step up and say something in a meeting and you're like talking at somebody, like Absolutely. You phrase it in a way where it's like, hey, I'm talking about the exact same shit, dumbass. Like,
right.
Yeah.
You know, but always clarify what you're talking about in a way where if they're actually listening, you know, and it's coming from a place of really caring and just wanting them to wake up. I don't know. I love the people that rant in meetings, though. I love it.
I got a couple people that fall into that category of people I just wanted to kill, but ironically, I like all of them today.
Same.
All those people.
All of them.
All those people that I wanted to kill within my first year. So most of them within my first couple months. Most of them were in my first couple months. I like them. I like them. It's not that I like them. It's not like I want to hang out with them or anything like that.
Yeah, but a large amount of respect for the sobriety that
for sure.
Yeah.
Now, you got to respect that.
And a lot of that comes down to the knowledge of the program too.
Because I don't know if that's true either, though.
No, the knowledge of the book and the knowledge of how the program works does not equate to really good sobriety.
What do you mean?
Like, okay, so the people that can cite and very eloquently explain any given portion of the book, but on the surface are still, even when you get to know them, just kind of bitter fucks. Like that's not, you know what I mean? It's that whole idea of portraying something that other people might want.
Right.
And that's where I get into a rabbit hole sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like, sounds real good.
Right.
Yeah. You can share like Shakespeare, but I know how you're living.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly what you're doing.
It's really easy for an hour to
100%
show good
100%.
recovery.
Exactly.
I think it's tough for me because going through like some of those situations, because you tell me some information and you put some facts behind it and you help me understand, like then I'll take it. And when we talk about black and white and like we can contextualize like the literature and things like however to suit our needs a lot of times, you know what I mean? And but overall, like some of the things in there in the, like like some of the nevers, and you should never criticize, always cooperate, to be helpful is our only aim. Like these things, like in my head, when I think about those things, like, it just doesn't resonate for me, like why an approach should be that way. Just for me, I can understand, and it's helped me at times when people have been really forceful with their opinions, and I've questioned myself because of that. It's been really sharp, a dagger in my side, so to speak. But, I think it's really difficult having an experience where, seeing somebody that has then been shied away from a situation and then seeing a bad outcome from a situation like that. Not just a bad outcome, but a grave outcome from the effects of, words or the way that somebody has spoke to them per se, But then we're
difficult. Getting into the area of like, I'm big in the belief that if somebody's ready and going to do the work, there's not a fucking thing that you can say or do that's going to deter them from that. And the same is on the other side of the coin.
Yeah, that used to be a model that someone that was pretty close to me always used to say. Like, there's nothing if you're gonna drink or if you're gonna get high, there's nothing I can say that's gonna change your mind. Exactly. If you want to be sober, there's nothing I can say that's gonna prevent you from doing that.
And then this conversation 100%. Is like kind of getting into like, you could make the argument that like, yeah, they came at him a little bit too aggressive, but if they're going to react and do something like that where they're really ready.
Right. 100%. I mean, nobody's responsible for that, right? Like we all make our choices for sure. It's just a matter of, I like somebody, I don't like somebody. I appreciate somebody, I don't appreciate somebody. I like fucking bananas, you like apples. You know what I mean?
Oh,
for me, it comes down to like that whole saying, like, keep what you need and leave the rest.
That's it,
right?
That's it.
Like,
absolutely.
There's a comedian, Mark L, that he does recovery comedy.
Yeah.
And, one of the things he says is if you didn't get anything out of the day, it wasn't your turn.
Yeah.
So like somebody's being brash like that, like just, it's not my turn today.
That's right. That's right.
I got taught when I first got sober that there's three people at meetings. There's people that preach, there's people that teach, and there's people that share. And the people that share are the ones you need to listen to.
Wow, that's good shit.
I love that.
Well, I like that line a lot, and it's pretty rare to hear a line that, like, you guys know, like, it's hard to hear a line that you haven't heard.
Right, that is good. I like the one you said too before with Mark L. That one was like that a lot. We were talking about earlier with just sort of things being subjective. It's like. I think it's just how you take it too, and like that person that is being like, one person may interpret it as criticizing, right? Or anything like that. But maybe that's the way that he loves, dude.
Yeah.
Like you think about some of these people that have been around for 30 years, bro. You know what they've seen?
Oh yeah.
Well, and also think about
look at what we've seen just in 10,
15. Yeah. It's fucking trauma, bro. Like they get you, and this is one of the things that I wanted to talk about with you.
Think about the version of AA that they came into too.
True.
Like
100%.
There's a reason why they talk about like, well, I'm an old timer. It's because when you got the shit kicked out of you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
100%.
They've seen people die. Is really, and that's what this disease does. Is it fucking wipes us out, dude. And you know, I can't say that I'm to that point. That's just not my personal thing. I don't know if I'll ever get there. I don't know if I won't ever get there. I can't say what I'm going to be like in 30 years in recovery. Yeah. I just know for a fact that from day one to today, I have absolutely become harsher in my approach and how I talk to people and my assertiveness and my boundaries with people in terms of not wanting to get too close, not wanting to get too close because it fucks me up when people die, dude. I don't like that shit.
Yeah. You got to know when to implement that certain approaches with people.
Sure, of course. Yeah. It's all about having some tact in certain situations.
Like, so I'm going to bring this back to Austin. Like, he was kind of that way in a very loving way. Like he was a no bullshit kind of guy, but he showed you love when he did it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so like he went to San Diego to finish or to further his degree, and it didn't work out very well. He didn't fit into the recovery out there. Him and I talked about this like a lot, and when he came back, he's like, you know, I've been drinking whatever. I said, let's go grab coffee, man. Like, still love you, dude. You know, and like if I would have been like, pull your fucking pants up and you know, do what you taught me, like that wouldn't have worked at that time.
Exactly.
What I was taught is anytime anybody ever goes back out in like a case like that, the line that I don't remember where I heard it. It's at this point. The line that I've used multiple times when people either stop responding for a while and then just like hit me up out of the blue, like, hey, this is what's going on or whatever. It's always, my friendship with you does not have a sobriety clause.
Right.
Like,
oh, absolutely.
There's not, we're not doing that. Like if you're looking to get back into it, if you're looking to just anything, like, dude, I'm available to it. Any opportunity to plant the seed in any way, like we're about it.
Yeah,
you know,
we'll go to like Magdalena's for some guanciara. You know what I mean?
Guanciale, man, and it's Italian.
So, like, I don't care if you're drinking or not. Like, hit me up. 731-2727. 9. Can't forget the 9. I almost forgot the 9.
Dramatic pause.
So
9.
Wrapping this all up, everything we've talked about. How does you know your experience in 14 years? Like, how is your relationship through prayer and meditation? How has that improved your conscious contact with God as you understand Him?
So there was like a question, like people that have impacted you, and not just because of Juan, but I'll bring it back to like, I pray and meditate in a very unconventional sense.
Perfect.
And a lot of that has to do with the way the religion, I would say. And a lot of that has to do with some of the people that I got sober with. I got sober with people that were very involved service-wise, and a lot of things in the recovery community in our area kind of aren't traditional. So like the circling the wagon, the Our Father. I don't do that. I don't participate in that. And when I got sober, shortly after I got sober, a high school kid that was Jewish was trying to get sober. And I just like, I had so much empathy. Like I couldn't just leave him alone inside the circle. Because that's not what recovery is. Right. So I stopped doing that. There's a there's a book that one of TR's employees' oldest son's named after the author, Sermon on the Mount. And that book is all about when Jesus like dictated the Our Father. But in that book, it talks about like prayer from rote, which like memorized prayer is meaningless. Like Jesus saying that prayer and developing it, it wasn't never meant to be like for us to say every day, all the time. It's not what it was. And like, I keep my prayer simple. Help me. Thank you.
Yep.
Help me. Thank you.
I love that.
Because for me, like prayer is personal and it has to come from the heart. And I need help every day. 14 years sober, I need help every day. Sure. Might not be help because I'm going to drink today or get high today, but I need help with something.
Absolutely.
I might need help not getting mad at my son. I might need help not having road rage. I might, whatever it might be. I might need help not judging a client today that I'm giving therapy that I don't agree with or done some things that to me are like not cool.
Right.
That's how as a clinician, I see all kinds of different stuff. Some of it I don't agree with, so I need help dealing with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And meditation for me, like, I don't know if you guys have seen the documentary Recovery Boys. It's on Netflix, and it's about like a guy opens up like a treatment center in West Virginia somewhere. A doctor, his son was an addict and stuff. Well, like one of the guys in there, they're like outside. It's like a farm. They work on a farm, and they're outside like listening to the birds. And he's like, "Did you hear that?" Like, so like that's my meditation. Like just small things.
Anywhere.
And just like having like God moments. Like, man, that was cool.
Looking at a sunset,
right?
Hearing nature,
absolutely.
Anything. Driving over a bridge, seeing the water.
My first ever Founders Day. I was just about to be a year sober, and the main speaker was like a Air Force pilot or something. He was talking about how he was drunk, flying his fighter jet, like beyond the point where like it should have killed him, and he lived through it. Like that was like a meditative moment for like, wow. And he's here to like tell a story.
That's insane.
Like he's here to tell some message, right? Like those, that's like where I find meditation, like just picking up small things.
Does that happen when it happens, or do you actively say, I'm going to meditate today, or I want to, or I need to go meditate?
For me, it's not an active
way of life.
There's things that I do that I find like peace with. Sometimes it's folding my laundry, just like
sacredness.
I'll throw on some Amazon music and just
what did you just say?
Sacredness in the mundane.
And for me, that's where it's at.
Fuck yeah.
I love that.
I'm all about that.
Yeah.
I'm all about that.
What are you guys talking about?
Sacredness in the mundane, like the simple things
we don't pay, things we take for granted.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, there's somebody that's been around for a long time. We all know he gives a lot of really long hugs, and you know what I mean. And he it was one of the things that he said to me. He said, the dishes, right? He said, you're doing the dishes, and those plates are gonna hold the food that feeds somebody. And that's why I always talk about like laundry for me, being a single father, and things like the timelines, I mean, fucking tonight, dude, like I have laundry at home tonight. I got to go fold, and
I did that before I came here,
I haven't left here, but that act, right? Like there's been times like where I've cried a lot doing my folding laundry for my son. Like it causes me to cry, the act at the end of the day is like one that I typically wouldn't want to appreciate, but the fact that I get to do this for my son, and that I have these moments where I'm doing the dishes, or I'm making sure the house is clean, or I'm picking out if his clothes in the morning sometimes, I'll pick out his clothes at 13 and be like, man, those are moments that will bring me to my knees
pretty much
emotionally and spiritually. And somebody told me that though, they said that phrase to me and said, called it sacredness in the mundane, and staying grounded and footed there. And just hearing you say that, man, fuck. Right?
Yeah.
And
I'm so all about Val. When Val and I lived in our last house that we were still renting before we bought this house, we didn't have on-site laundry there. So there was a laundromat, a piece of shit little laundromat that was like 4 or 5 minutes away from where we lived. So obviously we were always going there or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really funny because I know I mentioned to her, and I felt it a number of times, like we're just on the folding laundry topic, where I just found that to be such an appreciated, like we hated the fact that we had to fucking go there. We hated the fact that we had to pay every single time to do it. But it was a time of about 2.5 hours where just sit in presence with another person and do a very, very mundane task. And, I find that because we bought our house about 2.5 years ago or so, when I fold laundry, I do find that sometimes I miss that. Sometimes, and I've always said since I've been with her that a lot of those tasks that we're talking about right now, going to the fucking grocery store, like even we're both dead shit tired on like a Sunday or something like that, like those kind of things, and it all relates back to what we're talking about, what you were talking about. Those are those God moments, man. Those are those God moments. Is finding the mundane things are always the most enjoyable. For me, they continue to be the most enjoyable. And I hope to never come from a place or come out of a place like where I take those for granted. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That whole last 5 minutes just hit super hard for me.
Yeah, man.
Super hard.
Yeah.
A lot of lessons in that.
It doesn't have to be the sunset stuff, like those, I get those moments too, but just the smaller things of, this is part of my routine, and I appreciate.
Sometimes it'll just randomly hit, dude.
Yeah.
Sometimes it'll literally just randomly hit.
Find beauty in the small little details. Find joy in the small details.
Dude, I remember getting tags in the mail. You know how you order your tags for the car?
No, I normally forget mine until about 2 months after they expire.
It's like, no, I don't know about that.
No, I've done that the last 2 years.
Seeing tags come in, I was like, dude, I shouldn't even be driving right now. Like, I shouldn't even have a car. Just a random thing. Drinking water, dude. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Putting gas in my car. I remember sitting there the other day. I was putting gas in the car. I was like, dude, I have a debit card. I can buy gas.
All of these things.
Random little, just, like
paying bills.
Yeah.
Paying bills. Get excited about paying bills.
Yeah.
Knowing that my bills are paid.
Yeah.
Feels so good.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what's crazy, man? These things, like for me, they expand my capacity, right? To be of service, to be, like those things of sacredness in the mundane, or those moments. Some people call them emotionalism, depending on a spiritual experience for somebody else. Is this emotionalism or is it spirituality? Who's to fucking say? I don't know. But for me, like, it equates to something. And like in this moment and today, through these conversations and what we're having, is like, I tend to put my own, I put limitations around myself. And, I create parameters and boundaries based on what I'm capable of doing or what I have the capacity to do. And something that's been really important to me has been the lengths that I've gone to sit next to, walk next to, sit with, be near somebody that's going through something really, really tough. And over the years, I've really found an immense amount of worth in myself to be able to do that with people. And the limitations I put on myself because of the nature of what we do, and us becoming like putting boundaries. I can't do it no more. It's hurting me, and I can't show up for my kid. But I like just hearing you guys and hearing this conversation, those moments that I'm doing those things and I'm really paying attention to that, or allowing that to exist in me, the sacredness there, my capacity to be of service in situations where I typically wouldn't be as tolerant or receptive to, expands. Like right now, like my ability right now, my capacity to deal with and to manage somebody else, my hurt because of somebody else's action or choice to not like do this, opens. Like I can feel myself right now, like, hey man, you know what? I can get through another situation where somebody might die. You know what I mean? I can get through that, and I actually want to experience that a little more because it means something. It's really refreshing. I'm inspired right now. Like it inspired me. It inspired me because I'll find really fucking good reason to close myself off from feeling.
100%.
I'll find and justify that. I'll find a good fucking reason for me to keep you at arm's length. And the truth is, like, who I am, I'm built to be right next to you. You know what I mean? That's the thing that I feel compelled and called to do more than anything is to.
I've thought a lot in myself about how. Quite frankly, I've moved away from that in the last handful of years.
Of course,
I've moved away from that, and I can rationalize it all the fuck I want, but it's not necessarily a trend that I enjoy.
Yeah,
I've been built for, and truth be told, this is like me to you. Like this is one of the reasons why I've always respected you in particular so much, because you preach and thrive on the human connection in a way that I used to, but I don't anymore. And that we could sit here all fucking night and try and figure out the logic behind why that's the case, but that's the situation that I'm in. That's the situation that I'm in, and I don't particularly like that.
Of course,
I am. Those who know me well, two of you included, know that I am predisposed to kind of an idle level of curmudgeonry. But I fear that that I don't connect in the ways that I used to, and I'm, other than in ways that might be alternate to AA service, or anything that's specific to the program. I don't know how to get back to that, and I'm still working on the answer to it. I really am, and I'm trying to be more open to it. But fuck, it's hard, man, because I've been a 65-year-old bitter fuck on the inside for a couple of years now.
Right.
And there's a certain amount of that's. I mean, I laugh at it.
I'm laughing because I
laugh at it too. I laugh at it too because there's a certain level of me that does take comfort in that. Like about a year ago, Val and I started watching Curb Your Enthusiasm because she had never seen it, and it's just remarkable how. I think we're like a couple episodes into it or something like that, and I don't remember what Larry David did, but I just kind of leaned over and I said, "Take a good look." Take a good look, because that's who I'm probably going to be. And again, to a certain extent, I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
I'm perfectly fine with not necessarily being the person who is. I am outspoken, I'm opinionated, and I'm okay with being the guy that has a little bit of a tendency to be an asshole. Like that's fine. If that's the worst thing that I've really got going, then we're okay.
For sure.
But my fear is that I've driven myself away from the human connection.
Well, dude, like hearing you say that though, like I had an experience today, just now. It's crazy, right? I'm sitting in a room with you guys and I'm not sure like it's going to translate appropriately, but fuck, man. Like I was taken back to Kent State when Austin picked me up, and I was taken back to how I felt. And then I was taken to a place like along this, that like like there was moments of for me, man, that there's something happened, right? And me and my best friend, like, you know, the thing that like some of the differences in why we work well together, like really good together, is like part of that is my capacity to like be that person, you know, and that complements and
yin to yang.
Yeah, the yin to yang where we operate, you know, and but that thing, right, where you know, that it happened, like it's like a fresh fucking reminder, like that tonight I had a really fresh reminder as to like my effectiveness and like the importance of what these things do to me, to be of what the program teach, to be of service, and the need for that. But my effectiveness in doing that is has been my capacity to not just die myself in certain ways, but to rest with people while they're dying too, you know, and being sure that I'm not overlooking that because of whatever the scheme or scale of what I'd want my life to be. And it truly, like, I'm having the best experience when I'm fucking breaking down with somebody.
Yeah.
Like that's my best experience.
No, I would identify with that.
My best experience is there for me.
And the problem for me is
not
that
breaking down.
And this, no. I understand.
Breaking bread, boy.
Come to my house. You know, that just made me think too of like, I think one of the conclusions that I've come to, and whatever the logic is behind this, I mean, like I don't have a conscious refusal to develop those kind of relationships or have those kind of experiences.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm also not seeking them out. And I think that's the largest difference from what I would consider to be even pre-sobriety me or early sobriety me versus today. And, you know, we've talked a couple times about tragedy, about death specifically. And I think one of the conclusions that I've come to is like both times that I've tried to get sober, the guy who I ended up getting very much attached with, I mean, one of them's dead, one of them's in prison. And I had, it's just almost like a subconscious, like, wall that's gone up to a certain level. I mean, you know, the former of those is one of the only events that I've ever had in my life that has immediately changed who I was a human being overnight. I mean, I you know, the details don't matter, but it's been something that I've definitely looked at in the last handful of years, where it's like, okay, I used to be somebody that thrived a lot on not necessarily the size of the friend circle, but having a lot of people that I was really close with. And, you know, when I look at my current roster, you know, like obviously I have my other half. I live with Val. Outside of Val though, not one person, bud.
Yeah, one or two. Buddy.
No, not one.
Yeah.
I mean it. Not one. Like I had a conversation with somebody because we went to just like everybody's fucking wedding this year, and inevitably I get thinking about that, where it's like I have no idea when the hell Val and I are to decide to do all that or whatever. But inevitably I get thinking about that. I do have a younger brother who I'm not ridiculously close with. But then I start thinking about the alternates and who I might have on my bench in a circumstance like that. Not a clue. Not a clue. And that bums me the fuck out. Like, I don't know who it would be aside from like fucking Gary. You know what I mean? Like, which I would do. But like, even then, I spend more time around that particular individual than anybody else. And even still, it's not on that level.
You could,
and I don't know where that went.
I feel like you guys would have an awesome eloped wedding with a bunch of fucking house music, dude, and just the best photographs ever. Just the best photographs, the best music, and the best photographs ever.
Our fucking details to that day. Our details to that day would be a nightmare because I would be ridiculously anal about the music. She would be ridiculously anal about the photos, and I would be over the top
about the food.
100%. Exactly.
I've seen you going on your phone a few times. Is there something that you want to read?
There is.
Can you read it for us?
Only because I don't know if Juan's ever like took the time to read this, but like what you were saying about like when Austin took you to the first meetings.
Mm-hmm.
So,
oh man, you're gonna fuck me up, dog.
A big part of like my like meditation to me was like Austin got me into poetry, like, and it got me back into like writing.
Yeah.
In high school, I like was really into like writing rap music, and drinking and drugging took me away from that. And then Austin got me back into like writing poetry. And then when he died, like I wrote a poem about like him helping me.
Oh boy.
Here we go. Buckle up.
Ready?
Yeah.
All right. So the title is Recollection of a Conversation.
When did you write this?
It was shortly after Austin died. So 10 years. It's been 10.
Yeah. Yep.
9-10 years ago.
10 years.
So it was with a young man who was much older than myself. In wisdom at the time, somehow he understood the last intensely insane years of my life. But I remember him being in the same high school as I, but a few classes behind. How could he know so much that I've done? I know because I've been there. Wait, how did he know what I was thinking that? I asked someone the same question 3 years ago. Dude, okay, I'm just going to speak up now. Yeah, you'll feel much better if you share about shit. Okay, well, one question. What the fuck are all these drunks laughing for? We are laughing because things are funny. Oh, is that fucking so? Because there ain't damn thing funny to me. I know, but one day you can laugh again too.
Yeah.
That's Austin. Yeah, that's Austin.
Damn.
Perfect.
That's fire.
That was a conversation. That really happened.
That was an actual conversation?
Yeah. But I put it in.
So
prose it into a poem. Yeah.
We've talked about a lot of really, really good shit here. I feel like this is like a perfect way for you. I mean, reading that, Austin is here. I believe he's with us right now. There's people watching this. There will be somebody watching this. We talked about how we improve our conscious contact with God through prayer and meditation. If there's someone out there watching this right now that hasn't really crossed that line of entering into the world of sobriety for everybody here, I mean, what's something that you would say?
That hasn't crossed the line, you said?
Hasn't crossed the line, still struggling, still trying to figure out if this is for them.
I always kind of default to man, because I could go I could go on and on and on with the reasons and experiences why it's worth it. Big picture, I haven't been around that long. It is a totally different world. Past that point, I mean, at the bare minimum for the people sitting on the fence, it's certainly not going to get any fucking worse. Like, honestly, that is the most basic logical argument that I give everybody as soon as we sit down and read the doctor's opinion. Give all that you have for 6 months. It's not going to get any worse at all.
Very true.
And the amount of it's so hard to talk about this without sounding cliche. You know what I mean? Or saying something that somebody's fucking said a million times. But it's all reality. All of it's reality. We mentioned very early on something along the lines of, I am very, very, very happy to have gone through every last bit of the ringer that I did before I got here. I'm a man today that I would have absolutely never been, even if the drugs were removed, left to my own devices. Had Had I never been an opiate addict, I would have never gone through the journey internally to end up at the place that I'm at. I could not be more grateful for that. If anybody's still struggling, man, it's just it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. And your ability to regain the human connection and be impacted in a positive way and help other people is undeniable. We will see it long before you do, but you'll see it for yourself in time.
Love that. Pete, thank you, man. Thank you so much for that and for just being here.
Dude, thanks so much for the invite. I will be itching to come back any fucking time because we could turn this into a 6-hour podcast.
we killed like 4 hours.
I was gonna say this might be our longest actual recording. I mean, we were in here for 4 hours. I don't know how long we recorded, but
bro, and if it wasn't so goddamn late, like I would have no desire to stop.
I know.
I could easily sit at this table for another 4. No problem.
Jason, what would you say, man? Someone out there listening.
First of all, like, I think one of the most important things is like they matter.
100%.
No matter how low you are, no matter how much dirt you've done, like you still matter. And like the things you've done, like that's going to help someone else someday because they've been, where you are too.
Yeah.
Like, if we talked about earlier, like sitting at Whitmer High School, would we imagine like ourselves sitting here talking about like how great life is today without drugs and alcohol? Like, I think just like seeing that like shows that it's possible, right? Like one of my favorite like lines in the literature is like, it's in A Vision for You, where it talks about like,
best chapter in the fucking book,
your imagination will be fired. Like life will mean something, right? Like when I was at my like lowest point, and when I was at like my my bottom wasn't even my lowest point. Like my lowest point was that night of my car accident. But like I didn't feel like I mattered. Or if I felt like I mattered, like I wouldn't have done that night, right?
Of course.
And I think the most important thing like I've learned in recovery is like I matter. No matter how much dirt I've done, I matter. And I think that's important for someone to know.
That's
like,
100%.
You still matter.
It's a huge change.
No matter how many bridges you've burned, no matter how many people won't talk to you, like you still matter. You still matter to someone, and your story could change someone else's life.
Yeah.
And the people that won't talk to you or don't talk to you now, they probably will. If you stop doing the things that, they don't talk to you because of.
Exactly.
And it's possible.
Yeah, just give
it's possible.
Seems impossible.
It seems so impossible, but like working in like treatment and being sober for the like 14 years that I've been sober, like if I could count like the people I said, oh, this dude will not be sober, right? Most of the guys that like you say won't be are the ones that are. Like, oh, this guy, he's never gonna, and they're the ones that stay around. Like, so no matter how bad like you think it is, it gets better. Like life gets better.
There's someone out there. When you were explaining the night that you took your last shot, I mean, that was a very vivid description for me.
Yeah.
That like really took me back, like just truly white knuckling it through the whole night and getting to last call. You almost made it through, dude. You almost made it through, and you didn't want to, but part of you wanted to, and you like wanted to really, really get through that day. And it was like, this is the last chance I'm going to have to do this today. So am I doing this or not? And then you just do it. Like, dude, when you said like, I did not have a choice.
Yeah.
Like, I had to. There's somebody out there right now. There's a kid that went through Whitmer right now, that's probably going to watch this or hopefully will watch this someday. every day, dude. Every day in our town and in the world and wherever it might be.
You two are such a great example of like the almost butterfly effect that you were just talking about right there. Is just like the connections. You don't have a fucking clue. You don't have a fucking clue what kind of connections you can make or remake coming around here. Like, and it doesn't have to be two people that were, you know, in the very same circle or anything like that. Like, you know, we're fucking here and you don't have a clue about it. Just come on.
Yeah, Jason, thank you so much, dude. Seriously, thank you. I normally we have like, not that we didn't have fun, but normally it's just like a lot of games, you know, on this. And then I feel like this was a very, very serious, deep, impactful, powerful.
Yeah, it was just prayer and meditation, man.
It really, you can't really like joke around about that. I guess that is true. This is the one step we couldn't.
It's crazy.
What do you got, man? Somebody out there. I know you got something. You've been thinking about it.
I fuck, man. I'm man, dude. You know, I've lost my whole life. I've lost everything. I lost my son. I lost my family. You know, homelessness. I don't care what the bottom is or what the situation is. What the point of reference is to wanting to change how it is, how it feels to fucking not have yourself, let alone anybody else. And Jason said, you know, you're worth it. And I can't agree more. But the profound change that can happen sitting in a room full of people who lost fucking everything, like truly lost everything, any, you know, hopeless state of mind, suggesting to you that if you are watching this or you have a kid that's watching this or if you have a kid that hasn't seen this, stamp this moment, stamp the moment before, stamp Pete's moment or Matt's moment, whatever moment could potentially translate to somebody out there. To say that our lives were swept away in every fashion, in every form, and that today, you know, as a result of having other people that have been there before me and before whoever you could be, that the truth is, man, is that your mom will want to talk to you probably again. That if you have lost your kids and you've traveled down the rope, that you can climb back up that rope and you can find a way to have a relationship with your kid again. If you don't have kids, you're terrified of having a family, that recovery can teach you how to take care of your family. The message for you is that your life is not gone, and you don't have to give up on life. You know, I hope that I get a chance to have my heart broken by you in a way that your story impacts me deeply. And if you're a family member and you don't know what to do with your kids, you know, I hope that you find some solace in the sense that there are people here right now who got our lives together, you know. And just come, man. Just come. Find one of us. We're out here. Ask for help. Ask for a meeting where a meeting's at. Ask for anything to find somebody that is sober. And we're waiting for you to come home. We're waiting for you to come home. You know, just come home, man. You're not too far gone, and we're right here waiting on you.
I love that, guys. Everybody, thank you. It was a long episode, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
I'm sitting here ready to keep going. I'm waiting for you to be like, fuck it, we'll just keep going
all night.
We will come back for another episode. It's in stone right now. We're just gonna make it happen. We have to do this again. This was too good to not do it.
I'm bringing food next time.
We can do that. Yeah, we should do dinner in between the breaks and stuff. Run like that. Yeah, some good food from Magdalena's.
Martin's.
Yeah, Market Donnie's.
I'm gonna fucking have a brain aneurysm, dude.
Had a great time with you guys. Well, that was season 2, episode 11, guys. Thank you all for watching so much. As you know, obviously, we're putting this information out there. Hopefully that someone will receive it and say, what can I do to either get help myself, get help for somebody else, pass on a message, whatever it is. The way that we can hopefully get the message out there more is if you subscribe to our channel on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, like us on Facebook. Visit our website. Tons of great information on there. There's contact forms on there. There's a lot of different resources listed on there as well. theteamrecovery.org. And obviously, if you need help, give us a call, 419-561-LIFE. We have a lot of really good resources, whether it's family support groups, different fellowships in the area, or just general resources and websites. If you're not in the area, we can point you to those as well to find the resources that are in your area. So thank you guys for watching. We appreciate everybody that follows us and shares our information, and we hope that you have a wonderful night. Thank you.